Here we go. Welcome everyone to the HWBOT World Tour 2016. This is the HWBOT World Series Asia Pacific Qualifier today. So we will have 9 overclockers that will be competing with liquid nitrogen and extreme overclocking today. I'm Truthman from OverClocking-TV and I will be your host all the day for this qualifier of the HWS 2016 Asia Pacific. I'm being joined on the live show by Bill Zoid from UK, one of the famous or infamous YouTuber that is trying to push out some streams out on the to the complete world, and usually fail, but well, it's a good guy, so we want to have him on the stream. Hey Bill Zoid, how are you doing?
Hello, thanks for having me here.
Hey, you're welcome. That's a pleasure to have you there. You were here with us in the past 3 days for the AOCT, the Amateur OC Tournament, the special competition for the amateurs, and we had some fun on the live. We saw so many things, like people using rice to actually maintain the CPU cooler in place, etc. That was quite interesting to see. I can't wait to see what the guys came up with for today. Of course, this event is very important. This is the last time in the year that you can win a ticket for the HWBOT World Championship. So the extreme overclockers here are at the top of the game. They need to make the most out of it. They need to make sure they can get this ticket. I know some of them are quite stressed about what's coming or what will be coming in the next few hours. But what is important is you guys can be here to watch this. You on the live chat, let us know where you are tuning in from. What you're seeing today is something you will see just a few times per year. Of course, this is the HWBOT World Tour, so let's recap a little bit what is the World Tour about. So basically, the HWBOT World Tour is a series of 7 events on 5 different continents. It's for one big championship, the HWBOT World Series. The HWBOT World Series is invitational only, so only the people that get the qualifier can get there. Today is the last time the extreme overclockers from Asia Pacific region can get that ticket. This is the last chance for them to qualify for the HWBOT World Championship, the HWC. Of course, we are here in Indonesia, Yogyakarta. This is in the middle of Java Island. So far, so good. It's been quite hot and quite warm here. So we hope that all the guys here won't have too many issue with the condensation, because it's as well very humid. As I said, I will be a Truthman, your host from OverClocking-TV for this complete show, and Bill Zoid from UK will be there. From time to time, we will be joined by some of the locals, like you can see on the screen now is Lucky Noob Alva is one of the guys behind this, helping out the amateur. Actually, he's one of the main teacher here. He's one of the main guys promoting overclocking to the newcomers. And something interesting to see is on the far left of the arena, you have his brand new student. That student is one of the guys that won the amateur competition in the yesterday. He won the amateur competition yesterday, and now he's jumping up to be in the big league, the big game using liquid nitrogen. This is the first time for him to use liquid nitrogen. He was actually paying a lot attention this morning when we did the safety training. So we call that the safety trainings, just to make sure that everyone that uses liquid nitrogen is using that safely. This is very important for everyone to be safe using liquid nitrogen, because negative 200 degrees, you know what? That burns. Yes, that cold burn, really. Bill, did you have any, bad experiments with LN2 so far?
No real injuries. A few minor burns, which I, really on stream. If you ever hear, every time I go to pour, I tend to spill it everywhere. Sometimes get a little too much stuck on my hand or my shirt sleeve or something, and then I complain about it very loudly. But nothing serious. I haven't had any serious accidents with it yet. The thing about LN2 is it rolls right off of you, it doesn't stick. Like, if it gets on your clothing, then you have a problem, but I don't intentionally spill it on on myself trying to get it lodged in clothing, so I've never had any injuries with it. So
you're basically following the safety guidelines. Don't treat on yourself. Don't
Yeah.
try to drink it. It's not. No, it's not the
Well,
goal for it.
yeah. Yeah.
So here today
Um,
we have the top overclocker from Indonesia fighting for the last ticket, the golden ticket, like we used to call it, for the HWBOT World Series. It's quite important to note that here we have on the main stage for now until we'll have the final match tonight. Azan from Indonesia is actually one of the big guys here in Indonesia, and on the other side of the table we have B-Boys G's. Actually, Azan is from Yogyakarta. He's a local here, and B-Boy Giz is well known as well in Indonesia. Quite a high profile, quite a high overclocker profile for him. Buildzoid, how no? It's gonna be interesting to see what the guys can do, but so far, um, what I would like to introduce a little bit more about yourself. What are the streams you usually do, and this is the reason why you're here today. So you do regular stream, but you do as well YouTube videos. So can you explain a little bit more to the viewers what you are actually doing?
yeah, so I live stream overclocking sessions, and I tend to take a sort of I don't know, but generally I try to do new things, interesting things, stupid experiments, that kind of thing. Never really cared too much about getting great scores, just more about getting the system reasonably fast, pushing it as far as I care to push it, which usually includes, well, depends on what I'm doing. So I've streamed things like a session where I tried to get 8 gigahertz on AMD FX 9590. That was actually successful. I've streamed LN2 on Intel CPUs, on graphics cards, on all kinds of things. Basically, the goal is to just test out hardware and see how far it can go. But I also do streams on water cooling, air cooling. Uh, Basically, I do every kind of overclocking you can. I occasionally do volt mods on the live streams. Um, yeah, basically, I try to cover like all aspects of overclock because I started out in the enthusiast, and I still really love water cooled overclocking and all that because it's just so much more convenient. So I try to do everything. And then there's a YouTube channel, which is slightly more like I'd say the live streams are somewhat more like entertainment. The actual YouTube channel, I try to be more uh, informative. So on the YouTube channel, I generally do PCB breakdowns. I do volt mod guides volt mod guides. I highlight how to do volt mods and then explain theory for volt modding, explain how VRM. Well, I still have to do that, but basically, the YouTube channel sort of covers like how stuff in overclocking works. The live streams are more like this is what you end up with when you take it to the limit of what it can do. So yeah, I also do occasionally unboxing videos, and I don't do any reviews on the YouTube channel because I don't like reviewing as a video in a video format. But I do also have a blog, and occasionally when I get some hardware that I feel is worth actually talking about because it's not uh, like worth reviewing, then that goes up on the blog. So yeah, I do a lot of like overclocking coverage in general, mostly focused on graphics cards and motherboards, and yeah, that's sort of what I do.
Well, that's quite interesting. Thank you for presenting what you're doing. You're streaming. What's your schedule for streaming? Are you trying to stream like once a week, 2 times a month? How is it going for you?
I always stream. Well, I try to always stream on Saturdays, 7 p.m. UK time. So right now that's 7 p.m. GMT +1. And then in winter that would be 7 p.m. GMT because right now we're on summertime. Um, so yeah, and I basically try to stream every Saturday. The streams last anything between 2 hours and I think the longest one was 5, but I'm not exactly sure. Basically, the streams go on something. It either goes on until I'm too tired or everything is broken. So, yeah. And I try to answer questions, but a lot of the time when I'm handling liquid nitrogen or something, it's there's too much work. to like keep track of the chat at the same time as trying to keep the system from not dying. So I usually do like Q&A sessions during the stream when I'm not busy with the system because it's installing something or it's not working or I'm waiting for something to dry or something like that. So yeah.
Well, that's always tricky.
So that's
yeah, that's always tricky for you to find the time as well to that. Even though you are a student, so you have quite a lot of time on your hand. But that's not the only solution. You're doing a lot of things. I really like the Explain in Paint series that you're doing.
Yeah. So, well, that series has been on a hold for a bit, and that's basically just a I don't know, sort of I think sort of adapted from like when I was in high school and the would explain something and draw on a whiteboard. So basically, it's sort of a copy of that. I try to add in a little bit of humor. Generally, I try to keep the videos short. And basically, I explain everything from how overclocking works, just like the very basic, down to some of the electrical properties of transistors, liquid nitrogen, serotinarias, and basically various aspects of the physics of overclocking. So yeah, and that series is like right now there's a few more videos planned for that. I still haven't been around to doing them because they haven't been coming out the way I like them. Sort of the Explained with Paint series is basically me just explaining things with, I have a drawing tablet, so I can scribble off whatever diagrams I need and everything. So I do that as well. And yeah, so that's like the Explained with Paint series.
That's quite I really liked it. That's quite a lot. So guys, we are here in Indonesia. Thank you, Bizoid, for the introduction on what is your work actually. What is your main work here, and the reason why you're actually invited to be co-hosting this HWBOT World Series Qualifier. We're having a lot of guys here at the venue. A lot of things is happening. Let's focus back on everyone that make this event possible. So first of all, there's all the main organizer and partner. I want to give a big shout out to the guy at HWBOT Review and HWBOT OC. That's the main guys that were here helping a lot. That's part of the guys where you can see with the the polo shirt with the flag on it. They are part of the organization helping out here. They were taking care of the AOCT, the amateur OC tournament that was happening the last 3 days. Today is only for the extreme overclockers. You can see liquid nitrogen all over and so on. So we're gonna be doing a show all the way with the latest hardware discussion, competitions, course talk. If you guys have any questions, let us know on the live chat. We will answer them on the live. Bizoid is here to help me out on finding the right answer for you guys, depending if it's the new graphic cards you want to have, or what kind of overclock you can expect on this motherboard, or just discussing the latest news in the IT world. Don't forget, you can always use the hashtag HWT2016. That's something that is being used for the complete HWBOT World Tour. Let's get a quick review on all the partners for this event. Intel, so not even sure we have to introduce them anymore. Intel, the well-known manufacturer of CPUs and a lot of other things. Of course, they are here with the Intel Core i5 6600K. At the same time, we have HWBOT Review, the guys that we just talked about here in Indonesia, one of the biggest IT portal in Indonesia. On the motherboard manufacturer side, we have Asus, BioStar, Gigabyte, and MSI. These one are the main. So Asus and MSI are the best, are the more known today. BioStar and Gigabyte are well known as well. It's gonna be interesting who choose which brand is being used today. The contestants, we're gonna go along the rules of the different competition, but the contestants had some limitation on what kind of board they could use. Of course, we have some other partner as well. Seasonic, a partner for the complete HWBOT World Tour PSUs. They are providing the X750 watt PSU that's being used today. This is the same, almost the same PSU that have been used for the complete World Tour. We use the P760 watt and now the X750 watt. These PSUs are rock solid. They're being used by the amateur, and they are although now used by the extreme overclockers today. We're having the as well supports from Corsair Philips, the Corsair for the memory. We're using the 2x8 gig Vengeance LED memory that is highly clocked at about 2666 C16. It's 2x8 gigabytes, so 16 gigabyte kit. We're having Philips providing the monitors for the event, of course, being partner as well. Give a big shout out to all the other media partner and other partner, Streacom, from which we have been teaming up to do the Open Bench Table project. Of course, Jagat OC, the overclocking portion of Jagat Review, the overclocking team of Jagat Review. Of course, we're having Tom's Hardware. Big shout out to you guys. OCSport.io, overclock.net. Let us know on the live chat if you are watching this live on the overclock.net front page, and of course OCTV. That's all of us here. We like to see what's going on with the guys, and we'll be having the next 3 to 4 hours to exactly discuss what we everything we want for this live. Let's go over all the different extreme overclockers that we are one by one. Let's start by Oscar Route 22. Oscar Route 22, the amateur from yesterday that got his ticket to be here today competing against the extreme overclockers. The next one on the list on his right is Revan OC. This guy is one of the challenger today. He's gonna be fighting for his, recognition and title to his peers to make sure that he can access maybe the golden ticket of the HWBOT World Tour 2016. On his right again we have Mambahala. We will call him Mamba because that's going to be super difficult otherwise to to explain, to pronounce his name. Sorry for that. He's currently from the UNS OC team, UNS OC team. This is a local university overclocking team. Yes, they do have overclocking team sponsored by university. Actually, in Indonesia, there's even some teams that get sponsorship, like scholarship, out of overclocking because they represent something important for the country. This is something that we have seen only in Indonesia, and this is super great to see it here. They got scholarship for doing overclocking. This is great. Currently number 11 in the country. On his right again we have speed.fastest. Speed.fastest, of course, from Indonesia. Everyone is from Indonesia today. Is currently not ranked officially, but he is in the Enthusiast League. Let's go back to the very beginning with Coldest. Coldest is part of the Jagat OC crew, the Jagat OC team. He was helping a lot yesterday on the AOCT. He's from the Extreme League, so the people that use liquid nitrogen but are not sponsored like the elite guys. He's currently number 5 in the country, so it's the 5th best overclocker in Indonesia, and worldwide he is in the top 400. Great skill by Coldest. It's a former student of Alva. Actually, it's a former student of Alva. He will be using some kingpin pots today, and can't wait to see what he will be able to pull out in the 3 benchmark that we need to have. The next one is an old friend of us. We know him for a long time. Eki Jenkol. I'm super happy to see him today. This is great to see that guy back in the game. He always try to get into some national or international competition, but today, as he told us, that's my first international competition I hope to win. This is quite interesting with Indonesia. They don't have that much like international competition coming here, but they are always happy to do the local one. He's from team OC44, OC44, and is currently number 6 in the country, 6 in Indonesia. Like Coldus is in the top 400 worldwide. Just for you guys to keep in mind, there's more than 90,000 people competing on the worldwide ranking. So these people are at the top, not the very top, but in the top. There is definitely some good skills that they can show off. And one of the actually the latest student from Alva on the right side of Eki, it's Rodi. Rodi is here, and he will be experimenting with liquid nitrogen as well for the complete weekend. He's from the Amicom OC team. That is actually, that's funny because that's although AOCT, like the amateur overclocking tournament. He's currently number 4 in Indonesia. Number 4 in Indonesia. This is quite a strong display of skills by an ex-amateur, former student of Lucky Noob, and now he's number 4 in the country. He will be competing today as much as he can to represent his team and maybe win win the last remaining golden ticket for the HWBOT World Championship. On the other side, actually on the stage, we have the 2 main overclockers from Indonesia. On the stage we have Azan and B-Boy G's. Let's go back a little bit to them. Right now you can see Azan on the screen. That is the usual Azan behavior, Azan face. He is currently number 1 in Indonesia. This is the best overclocker of the country. Best overclocker in the country, and he's 27th worldwide, top 30 worldwide. This guy was actually at the event in Asia. We did early June the HWBOT World Tour Computex time, and it was quite impressive to see. He was in the final. Sadly, he lost in the final against Extreme Addict in the very last minute. That was a tight battle, and if you guys want to watch the replay of that game, you can go on the YouTube channel, youtube.com/overclocking-TV, and you can look in there for the Asia HWBOT World Tour Asia, and there you have all the matches, and you can see the few matches that Azan did. He did, I think, 2 days. He finished in the day final, and he finished in the final as well in the last remaining battle. Let's move to B-Boy G's and his final ranking. So B-Boy G's is actually number 3 in America. He's the 3rd best overclocker in Indonesia. Of course, he's in the top 150 worldwide. Very well known here, very well known in Indonesia. It's good, super good to see him. These 2 guys are on stage, but they have no different treatment. They will have to use the exact same rules than everyone else. Well, that was quite a bit. So 9 overclockers, 9 extreme overclockers here. Billzoid, who will be your favorites for this competition?
Well, I don't know any of them, but I've seen Hazan compete in a past World Tour event, and he had a very strong showing there. If I remember correctly, he ended up getting 2nd. So I think this time he might finally make it to 1st. So I'm going to go with him for my favorite for today's event.
For today's event. So today's event is the qualifier of the HWBOT World Series. Of course, this is a major event here, major event for Indonesia. On my side, I wish that some of the ex-amateurs, I can't wait to see what Oscar Route 22 will be putting out. It's not my favorite for this event here, for this qualifier, but I want to see if he can show off what he can do best for the competition. Keep in mind, guys, this is the HWBOT World Series, part of the HWBOT World Tour. Of course, this is a live event. Everything is happening in real time, and you can see everything on OverClocking-TV channel. If you guys are joining from the different partners that we have, you can be on Tom's Hardware, Overclock.net, OCsport.io, OCTV, Jagged OC, Jagged Reviews. Let us know on the live chat where you are tuning in from. We're monitoring the live chat, and I want to say hi to Faisal, the Cyber Shot Gaming, John Doe 84,000, GX Computer, Pauschlinia, Buildzoid, of course you are here with us, and Newbie Upson. Thank you guys for being there, and of course ask your question on the live chat. If you have any questions, let us know. We'll try to answer them in the next few hours. Buildzoid, that's quite interesting to see. Let's go over the rules of these competitions to know who will be the winner of the qualifier to maybe compete tomorrow on the HWBOT World Series final to win one of the golden ticket left for this HWBOT World Championship. Of course, the battle is intense. The top overclocker competing here, 9 top overclockers competing here today. So far, there will be the winner of the golden ticket will join the guys in Germany early December. We have PXHX Paulo from Brazil. He won the South America event. From South Africa, we're gonna have Dr. Wiz. Of course, from Europe, we have Bullshooter, that is also from Germany. North America winner was Mark0053 from Canada. And Asia Computex, we just mentioned it a bit earlier. Extreme Addict from Poland won the Asia event. And well, we will know this weekend who will win the golden ticket for the HWBOT World Championship. You know what? Let's go to the rules. So, the rules of this event are quite simple. They have to push the system to the maximum they can. So, for everyone that just joined us now, Buildzoid, can you explain what is overclocking in very basic terms?
So, overclocking at its basic is taking computer hardware and making it go faster than what it ships at. So if you get like you get an Intel processor like the i5 and it ships at something around 3 gigahertz, between 3 and 4 gigahertz, then you can take that CPU and you can make it go at 4 to 5 gigahertz. So and essentially you get a speed increase by doing this, because the frequency of the CPU dictates how many times per second it does calculations. So if you increase the operating frequency, it can do more calculations in the same amount of time, and so basically you get a free performance increase. And do this, you just change a few values and it'll go faster, but usually you'll end up at a situation where the component, like the transistors inside the CPU, can't actually keep up with the frequency you're asking for, and you'll have to give it more voltage or the cooling or do something to actually get them to keep up with the speed you want them to run at. So yeah, that's like the basics of overclocking. I mean, we could have basically a mini lecture on it, but I don't think we don't have the time for that.
Well, we will have the time because we have 3 hours to be here and so on. Can you explain why they're using the torch, and we go straight to the rules after that?
Why they're using what again?
The torch into the CPU pods.
So with liquid nitrogen overclocking, there's an issue. CPUs do not, transistors generally don't prefer being cold, but if you pull them down too cold, so liquid nitrogen goes down to minus 196 degrees centigrade. At minus 196 degrees, a lot of stuff stops working. So what the blowtorches are for is if they pull down the CPU too low, because they don't necessarily stop working at minus 196. Some of them might stop at minus 100, some of them might stop at minus 50, some of them might stop working at minus 150. Really depends where the CPU stops working, depending on what CPU you actually end up with. Architecture, manufacturing process, it's different from CPU to CPU. So you never really know. And basically the problem is when it freezes out, it's forever for the liquid nitrogen pots to heat up again. You could just sit there and wait for the ambient air of the room to warm it back up until you can start the system again. But that's going to take forever, because most LN2 pots are around 1 kilogram to 2 kilograms, and they take a lot of heat to come raise the temperature again, because they're meant to be, hold a certain temperature for a very, very long time. That's part of their design. And so the blowtorches are here to deliver a lot of heat to the LN2 pots quickly so that you don't have to wait for them all day to warm back up to, functioning temperatures. That's why you see everybody using blowtorches. You can also use heat guns or hair dryers, but using heat guns and en masse tends to cause power issues, so that's why everyone's on blowtorches here.
Well, let's hope they will not have power outage. Actually, if the stream cut, don't go away. This is just because the power went off. This happened actually 3 times yesterday, so we were actually in the middle of the live show and everything broke down. Like the complete venue went dark. Well, so I hope that today they won't have the same issue. That would be interesting to see. Well, if that happened, that's gonna be part of the game. So let's move on to the rules. So the rules for these competitions are, so you can see them all on OCEsports.io. I will actually copy and paste them in the live chat. So this is where you can find the rules. Of course, these rules are double pasting. So let's go over the rules. I will lay down the hardware rules and I will let you, Buildzoid, go over the benchmark rules. So basically, if they want to compete, so here, extreme overclockers, if they want to compete, they can just bring their own gears. So they can bring their own gears, their own CPU, their own memory, and their own motherboard. The only thing is, there is some restriction based on the, of course, of the partner of this event. So they have to use memory from Corsair. It can be any retail kit. It has to be retail. It's something that you can buy. It cannot be something that only 1 or 2 guys in the world have. It has to be something you can buy in a shop. So that's what we call retail. There is no ES allowed. So what does ES means is that it's engineering sample. Engineering sample means it's not made for production. It's just something that you have that made out of the factory, pre-release sample, stuff like this. So ES is not allowed, so they have to use a memory stick that can be bought on the market. Of course, when you can buy that on the market, that means everyone else can have it. Other things, they can use any motherboard they want. That have to be Asus, MSI, Gigabyte, or BioStar. Any motherboard from them. There is a limitation about the CPU. We'll coming back to that in the next few seconds. They have to use a Z170 motherboard. A Z170 motherboard. This is one of the other restrictions that is applying. They need to use the HD530 IGP. So this is the graphical processing unit inside the Core i5-6600K. So they have to use this CPU. So of course, if you can want this CPU, they have to use a specific kind of motherboard. But they can use any Z170 motherboard from Asus, MSI, Gigabyte, or BioStar. We'll have a quick look later on today on which is the board that the overclockers wanted to select or preferred at selecting. Of course, they all have their own choice of motherboard. Next hardware rules, there's no cooling restriction, so they can use liquid nitrogen as much as they want. There is actually an unlimited supply of LN2. We basically say like, yeah, you can bring torches or heat gun. This is up to your taste, exactly like Buildzoid you were doing. The Seasonic PSUs are the same for everyone. They have been provided to the contestant here today. Buildzoid, what would be interesting to see is that for the final, the memory kit will be provided. So they cannot come with their own pre-bin memory kit. So they will have to use the one that will be provided by the organizer. What are the benchmark we will be seeing today, Buildzoid?
So for stage 1, we're going to be seeing 3D Mark 03, then for stage 2, 3D Mark 11 performance, and for stage 3, the reference clock. So 3D Mark 03 is going to be a GPU and CPU benchmark. There's not really any bias in either way for that one, since the IGP is very slow, and even if 3D Mark 03 is old, the IGP isn't able to run it so ridiculously fast. You could only focus on the CPU. They will have to overclock both in order to get a good score. And they will also need to focus heavily on the memory because IGPs are generally bandwidth limited. in most uses, so memory overclocking will play a huge role there. 3D Mark 11 is going to be slightly more GPU biased, but again, so 3D Mark 11 is a little more GPU biased, because the CPU actually is plenty fast enough to do 3D Mark 11, but the integrated graphics from Intel is not quite there yet for performance, and so there we're going to see mostly you know, maxing out the GPU clock, maxing out the memory clocks, maxing out memory efficiency, because the IGP is going to need that bandwidth to get those good scores in 3D Mark 11. Then the reference clock, that is just a test of who can run the highest BCLK, and basically means it's a frequency run. There's not really anything they're going to be focusing on. All their ratios are going to be as low as possible to try get the highest possible FS. Generally, the reference clock, like maxing out reference clock, requires a strong motherboard with good support for this. It's really more of a workout for the motherboard than any of the actual memory or GPU or CPU component. So all three of them are interesting. They are the two first stages are obviously very much about the GPU. The first one is also more about the CPU than the second. Mostly we're focusing on GPU overclocking for the first two stages, and then on the third stage it's just raw frequency on the BCLK. So this will be very interesting to see, because the first two are basically maxing out the whole system, and the third one is just maxing out one frequency as high as it'll go. So very different disciplines,
yeah, very different
ways to overclock for both.
That's going to be very interesting to see what the guys can pull out actually from this benchmark. There was a question on the live chat, a question from Michael T and Obi Opson. Obi Opson asked, are these CPU pre-deleted like the ones yesterday? So deleting a CPU means removing the top IHS, so the extra top on the CPU that protects the die. So you remove that, change the thermal paste, put it back. So that's what we call delete. So deleting is the process of removing the top protection on the CPU. The reason why some of the people do that is because of the thermal paste being used by default on the CPUs are good enough for everyone, but for extreme overclockers they always want to have this little bit more, this slight extra on it. So that's why they basically remove the top, put new thermal paste, especially for extreme overclocking, put it back on, put it back in the computers. Today the CPU will most probably be all deleted. The reason is they can bring their own CPUs if they want. So most of them are extreme overclockers. That means most of them already deleted their CPU. For the final, I'm pretty sure that's gonna be the same case, the same concept for them. So let's have a look at the scoreboard. Of course, the actual scoreboard for the qualifier. The qualifier is going on for quite some times already, but if we look at the clock, we are having just a little bit more than 2 hours left in this round. I will actually add up a timer. Build Zoid, can you comment on stage 1 scores? Who is in the lead?
So right now for stage 1 in the lead we have Rev OC with 39,385 marks. So that's, you know, the 3D Mark 03 point system. To achieve this score, he has the i5-6600K running at 5 gigahertz, and he has the integrated graphic HD 530 running at 1850 megahertz on the core, which is 6% above, 60%, not 6, sorry about that, 60% above the stock clock, and he has the RAM running at 1800 megahertz and relatively loose at 14, 18, 1835. We should be seeing that going a lot tighter later on as the competition heats up. In second place, we have Oscaru 22, which is a very strong showing for somebody who just started with LN2, and he's running 5.3 gigahertz on the core and 1550 megahertz on the integrated graphics, and the RAM is doing 1666 with timings of 13, 17, 17, 28. So slightly lower timings, slightly lower clock, but much lower GPU GPU clock, which is why there's actually such a gap between Oscaru's score and RevOC's score of 3,000 points, because Oscaru was running a lot slower on the integrated graphics. Then in third place we have Eki Genkol at 36,500 marks and running 4.3 gigahertz on the i5 6600K and 1350 on the integrated graphics and 50 on the memory. And below him we have speed.fastest with 5.5 gigahertz on the i5 6600K, 1700 megahertz on the integrated graphics, and 1666 on the memory. So actually you'd expect him to be scoring a lot higher, considering he's running some of the highest frequencies we're seeing here, both on the CPU and the GPU. So he's probably having some kind of issues with something. He'll have to work on that.
Well, let's move on to stage 2. Stage 2 for the HWBOT World Series qualifier. Basically,
Right.
all the guys, not all the guys did submit a score yet, but that's okay because they they have all the time to submit that score. So that's 3D Mark 11 performances. They will maybe just use that one as the last resort. So they will tune in 3D Mark 03. That's one of the favorites from some of the overclockers here, and then move on to the stage 2. Stage 3, of course, we have more people in there. It's not the right scoreboard. Can you go over the scoreboard, Bill, please?
What?
Can you go over the scoreboard?
For stage 2?
Yeah, stage 3.
Stage 3 is empty.
Oh, okay, stage 2. Oh, there, that's me. I confused them. Stage 2. Yeah, that's the one we have.
Yeah, stage 2. Yeah. Well, I'm not... Sorry, just a bit of a connection issue here. So,
Yep.
So for stage 2, in first place, we have speed.fastest. And this is with the 5.5 gigahertz i5 6600K and the 1700 megahertz integrated graphics. So here we can see his ridiculous high frequencies actually work perfectly well. So he really probably has some issue in stage 1 with 3D Mark 03 specifically, because here his system is performing as you'd expect. He's in first place with the 3,150 marks. Second place, again, RU22, 2,800 marks at 5 gigahertz on the CPU and 1600 megahertz on the GPU and 1666 on the memory. So the GPU is clocked a little bit higher here and the CPU is clocked a little bit lower here. Either way, it earned him a second. Right now he's at second place. We still have 2 hours to go. So still a very, very strong showing. In third place, we have Hambala with 2,784 marks, and he achieved this score with a 5 gigahertz i5 6600K and the integrated graphics at 1600 megahertz and the memory at 1666 megahertz. So that's it for the current state of the stage 2 submissions. There's only 3. Oh wait, is my table behind? Yeah, there's only 3 submissions in stage 2 as of right now. So, and then stage being a maximum frequency run, everybody's putting that off until later because you can't really, like, you can do a stage 1 submission, then go on to stage 2, submit for stage 2 as well with the same settings as you did for stage 1, but stage 3 is just completely different discipline of overclocking, so everybody's leaving that for later for now. Though maybe somebody decide to focus on it early, but as of right now, we're not seeing any scores there.
Indeed, thank you very much for going through the scores. Guys, don't forget that we are monitoring the live chat. Let us know where you are tuning in from for this HWBOT World Series 2016 Asia Pacific. This is the qualifier. We will know who will go into the final matches for tomorrow. There's going to be 1 versus 1 matches. A quick overview of the concept on how this is working for the guys. So if we look at the score, the panel system, the way it works. So basically, the overclockers will go to the HWBOT World Series Asia Pacific. The top 4 from today will get with access to the semi-final, so the final concept, 2 semi-final, 1 versus 1, 30-minute stages. Then they will go to the final, and the winner of this final will of course get the last remaining golden ticket to go to the HWBOT World Championship. Bilzoe, do you want to see some benchmarking action?
What again?
We can see some benchmarking action here on the screen. So I think we have the screen from B-Boy G's. B-Boy G's is now on the live. He's benching 3D Mark 03. We don't know exactly what are his frequencies, but at least we know he's benching. We had a lot of fun yesterday watching this benchmark. So there's a difference from yesterday. This one is using some kind of tweaks. It doesn't look exactly like yesterday, does it?
Is it? No, because it's integrated graphics. I don't remember seeing anything other than just stock run.
They have
so
to
I
bench
don't know
IGP.
actually.
They have to bench the IGP. That's one of the rules for the qualifier.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, like they're benchmarking the IGP, but I don't think there's any tweaks available for.
The tweak is actually on my side. I have one of the screen that doesn't have the same colors as the others, so of course it looks a little bit different.
I'm like, what tweak? We're on integrated Intel graphics. Does that even have tweaks? It's like, yeah, no. Technical difficulties, everybody. Nobody's running any kind of LOD tweak or anything, though we're actually seeing messed up Windows, the tweak. So that probably, I've never benchmarked 3D Mark 03, but I'm guessing if an extreme overclocker as experienced as we're watching B-Boy Jez, right?
Yeah, B-Boy Jez, that is on the background right side of the screen, and then you can see his complete setup.
He must know his tweaks for 3D Mark 03, so if he's lowering the resolution, I'm gonna bet that it does work. So take notes if you haven't, you know, if you want to know any tweaks, because we might be seeing some. It's worth noting them down. So he's actually running 5 gigahertz on a 6700K. You can actually bring an i7 6700K to this competition. You just mustn't run the hyperthreading on it. Because obviously if you have hyperthreading turned on, then it has a massive advantage over the i5s. Without the hyperthreading, it's basically identical to an i5 for all intent purposes. So this was just done to basically make the competition more accessible to people, because a lot of people might have an i7, but they might not have an i5, because, you know, if you already have an i7, you won't go an i5 as well.
Well, you usually just stick to the best one.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, why would you get an i5?
So 5 gigahertz for the CPU, the IGP was at 1650 megahertz. Of course, he's benching 3D Mark 03.
Yeah, and with this score that he just submitted, that's 38,000 that he just got. He should be taking second place as soon as he submits that to the rankings. So,
of course, the guys have to submit either on a USB key or directly to HWBOT. I guess that for them it's easier to just submit to Peter. That will be doing the score update. And guys, I have an update here. We have been joined back by Timothée Xiala. Xiala is back. He was the main guy behind the camera work. How are you doing, my friend? I can't hear you.
It's better when it's on, right? I was saying, yeah, I'm doing well. I just went around. We're doing some shots when you guys were talking about each of the different guys and things like that. So I think now I'm gonna take a little break and maybe join you guys for the commentary if there's something interesting happening.
There's of course a lot of things happening. Don't forget, guys, these awesome t-shirts are available now. You can go on the Twitch TV OverClocking-TV page, and below the stream you have t-shirt, and you can just buy yours. There's a lot of colors now available. We're doing a new batch of them.
Green, orange.
Green, orange. Do you have a pink one? Because I know that some of the guys
There's
here
no
requested
pink
for
one, I
pink.
think.
We might have to add one because some of the Indonesian overclocker requested pink.
On Teespring, they don't propose all the colors. There's a limited amount. So I have to check actually and see what we can do. Yeah, there's probably a way to add pink somehow.
Somehow, in a way. You know what? Let's focus on the BBOGs because that's the only guys that is actually benching and not troubleshooting a system.
Yeah, there's a bit of tweaking going on here in the BIOS. Tweaking, of course, IGP. What can be done there? Increasing the voltage. Rebooting.
So, Build to it. I don't know. On your side, you say that you were having some energy drink, but here we are running on water, and there's actually a stupid little game that we had with Timothy earlier in the day. Is I think we can switch back while BBOGs is struggling in the system. So this is what the water we have here, like this kind of stuff, and we have this small straw to go with it. The trick is sometimes you don't manage to just push in the system, and we were having fun just earlier than the stream is who can actually take down that quantity of water the fastest. So that's the game.
I won.
He won the first one. I want my revenge. So Bizuit, to have it completely fair, you will be the one giving.
I'm not gonna race you.
Yeah, no, you will be the one giving
I'm
the
gonna
go.
race you with an energy drink. Oh, I'll be the judge.
You will be the judge. So basically, if we look at the desk, this is how it looks like. So we will have both our hand on the side, near the water and so on. And once you give the top, we will have to drink this because we have to hydrate ourselves. Guys, if it's too hot in your place, don't forget to drink. This was a message sponsored by the health department. Okay, let's do it. You can give the go whenever you want.
Okay, 3, 2, 1, go!
That was close. That was close.
That was really, really close, yeah. That was so close.
It's a good way to stay hydrated. A stupid way too, but
but definitely a funny one. Wow.
So there's a lot of smoke on B-Boy's Jess. He's actually, if we switch to his screen, he's actually checking his IGP. There's a bit of artifacts right there, a little bit.
A little bit.
Not too much, but you know, just enough to make it kind of interesting and nice. So the render test here is sort of useful. It avoids you to have to actually launch and run the whole benchmark as you are trying to tweak your IGP or your GPU. So selecting the right tests, adjusting the monitor size. I don't know if the frequency, the refresh rate, does matter for that little tweak he's showing us here, but no matter what, it's full of beauty.
Oh my god, this is so cute.
And,
so Wing of Fury, the battle of the plane. We are the plane.
Planes.
So, planes.
Planes.
This is 3D Mark 03 GT1 graphic test 1. The
It
plane.
does look much better with higher resolution. This is pretty terrible.
But if it looks terrible, it runs faster. I mean, LOD tweak is all about removing all the...
Yeah, so right now they are at 425 frames, 300, 300, 524. So it really depends which moment in the benchmark the frames vary, depending what's going on, of course. A bit more to render or not.
Yeah, also 3D Mark doesn't have the fastest responding FPS, seems to update like every have half a second or something. If you look at something like Unigine, it basically updates the frame rate as fast as it can. So it's actually sometimes if you're benchmarking, you can't actually read the FPS other than the first two numbers, because it's like going between like 300 and 200, and it's just sliding, like, you know, it's really fast.
Yeah, and it's so fast that it I mean, like, it gives you an indication, but it's by the time you read it, you look at the screen, the scene where it was actually reading the frames from is long gone.
Yeah. Well,
So
you can argue that, you know, if Unigine, if you watch it really closely, you can argue that, oh, you can, you know, sort of get a better feel for how much, like, you can see smaller differences in FPS better on Unigine than in 3D Mark, I'd argue, but yeah, it really depends. I personally like the Unigine style of F-hunters.
Yeah.
Just because once you get those really high FPSs, it really gets them, like, it just into a blur.
Yeah. So while you guys are watching this, you saw the message popping up on the screen. We've got some cool giveaway going on. There's some CPUs, some memory kits, some PSUs, and bench table to win. So check out that link that displayed and get some goodies. 1 hour 45 minutes left in these qualifiers. 3 hours, 3 benchmarks. They can do it in any order. Right now we have B-Boy Jez. I think it's B-Boy Jez, not B-Boy G's.
Because B-Boy G's, that's
totally wrong. All right, let's call him B-Boy Jez because it's much better, I think. Or just B-Boy, anyway.
Because actually his name is Jesse, so it's B-Boy Jez.
Or maybe Jez. B-Boy Jez.
B-Boy Jez. Yo, man.
B-Boy Jez, yeah. All right, so B-Boy Jez running 3D Mark 03. He's in the troll scene.
They're trying to play like a chess game. And now they're playing the chess game.
It's troll chess. It's troll chess. They had an argument over the rules. But
the rules are very simplified already for their purpose, but they don't seem to be very clever.
They don't even. They're playing with 4 rocks. They're probably playing drunk chess. I mean, they're trolls. How else do they entertain themselves?
And then running into the door. And that's it. So if you guys are wondering what those frames mean, those frames are rendered on the IGP and the integrated graphics of the processor. So they could be way higher if you would have, of course, like a 1080 or a Titan X Pascal, for example.
A real graphics card.
A graphics card for real men and women.
Well, a graphics card for people that have a real wallet as well.
Yeah, of course.
I'd argue the i5 is not cheap enough to say that, you know, like, if it was like the 7870K from AMD, then I would say, that's a good wallet saver. But if you're getting an i5, I'd argue you have a cheaper CPU and a stronger graphics card than this, and get better frames.
And
it got
just on the last scene. What a pity. Oh, he stopped it, maybe. I don't know.
He crashed it, like, crashed in nature on the butterfly scene after the first part of it.
Okay, let's switch to someone else.
Let's change scenery and go check out our dear friend over here. So Rody, who's quite well placed in the league. He used to be a champion here at the AOCT, the amateur competition, in 2013, if I'm not mistaken. And so right now he's running that beautiful 3D Mark 11 Advanced Edition. The edition doesn't really matter so much in that specific purpose.
They're just running the performance preset. So 3D Mark 11 have different presets. When in the new 3D Mark, the new 3D Mark that is just 3D Mark, it's the names have changed. But for 3D Mark 11, we run the performance preset, so that means P in the score, so P 1965. Let's look on the scoreboard where this is putting him on.
I think he's gonna end up. Right now he's gonna be third with that score.
Yeah, so he had a better score already of 3,134, so that's not really an improvement. Which is also why, if we switch back to his screen, he's already rebooting pretty much, and he's not going to do any screenshots. No point. Choice of the OS, we haven't talked about that yet, but the guys can choose their own operating systems for the qualifiers. So they are free to choose whichever OS they prefer. Windows it goes from Windows Vista to to Windows 7 or Windows 10 or whichever they fancy most.
Right. No love for XP and the olive tweak.
No,
Well, the main issue with XP on Z170 is you need
please
to...
no olive tweak. No, I hate that one. It's the most horrible. It's disgusting.
Okay, for you guys watching, the olive tweak is not the overlay we have that is green. It's a trick we have in Windows XP to make the score a little bit faster. Ish.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's voodoo magic really. But it does. I mean, I don't know. Whichever.
It seems to work for Super Pi, but
yeah. Not for all
Super
of them.
Pi made of olives. Super Pi made of olives. Olive
good-
pie.
It's a good thing
Olive
Microsoft ditched that theme.
I wonder if we still had the theme, if it would help Windows 7 go faster.
Yeah. So as you can see, B-Boy Jez is actually increasing the core ratio, clocking up higher, 53 from 50. He also was, I think, tweaking a little bit of the GPU ratio. So we'll see if that yields him some better scores. He might have increased the voltage there to solve his stability issue. During that time, Rody is still running the same benchmark, starting from the start again. There's that beautiful U-boat sort of scene there.
Sort of.
Yeah, well, at 8.4 FPS, you know, it's not as beautiful as it could be, but then again, we're not here to go for the beauty, but we're here to get the highest score. Of course, on IGP things are sort of limited a little bit.
We're not here to judge anyway, huh?
Oh,
That's the role for Massman. He will kind of like the scorekeeper in this competition today.
we should give an award to the overclocker that destroys the most how a benchmark looks compared to the original, how it's intended to look. So you can see that he aborted the benchmark and he goes back into the BIOS there. He's also torching the pot at the same time. This is to make sure that he's not going to run too cold as the system is no more under load. To avoid any cold bugs on the CPU.
Yeah, that's a problem when you shut down the system with LN2 still in the pot. It'll sometimes you'll hit your cold boot bug because when you turn off your CPU, it stops putting out heat and it really quickly cools down.
Yeah.
And then you'd have to pull it back up. So save time you want to torch it ahead of time.
Yeah, exactly. So even before you go back into the BIOS, you need to warm up that pot a little bit. Usually not so much. I think Rody here is still in the very much in the testing phase, so he won't probably run the benchmark all the time fully. That previous run was probably one of his first runs. He had a better score before, but I don't know exactly what he changed and made him getting.
Yeah, he's not really running a lot of core voltage if I was seeing the BIOS settings correctly at 1.5 volts. That's sort of in the range of what I'd run on daily cooling.
Yeah, maybe he's being conservative. Maybe he really likes this CPU.
2 volts all day, every day, everything needs 2 volts.
And if we switch back to B-Boy Jess, who is back in Windows after a little reboot. Oh,
While he crashed.
It seems that it crashed as he was running the little test there.
Yeah, with the render test. Yeah.
So yeah, well, bad luck. In that case, there's nothing else to do than torch your pot and the reboot, which is what he is doing right now. He doesn't use a torch. He seems to have a heat gun. It's up to their individual preferences. I think the torch is better. It's usually faster. It's a bit more brutal, but then again.
Well,
I
at
use
least
a
it doesn't-
hairdryer. It works. Yeah, but blowtorches are faster though. When I got one chance to actually use a blowtorch, my biggest issue with it was that if you put it too close to the pot, it would cut out because obviously the nitrogen vapors would kill the
Oh, right.
kill the
yeah.
flame. So
The technique
why
is to light it before you torch in.
yeah, I don't know why, but we had it going out. Like you light it, then you dump it in, and it would go out. So shit, torch or something. I'm not really sure. But yeah, I ended up using a hairdryer ever since then. Because we also had a heat gun, and that thing was kind of anemic at the time, so...
Yep.
So yeah, if you want to get into extreme overclocking, you can totally start with a hairdryer. That works.
So you can see he increased the voltage, the GT voltage, to 1.
Oh, that's the graphics. Yeah, 1.7.
Yep. So
1.7 volts on the graphics.
Conservative increases, but I guess he seems to be focusing more on graphic voltage rather than CPU at the moment.
Well, he's focusing on the Mark 7 right now, so we're probably seeing the whole 3D Mark 11 is more graphics bound than CPU bound. So
yep, correct.
It makes sense that he's focusing on the GPU first.
Yeah, I think that's also where the guys are going to spend the most time today. Probably most of them, for everything that is 2D, know probably very well what their chip can do. Usually overclockers tend to bench graphics on a discrete graphic card instead of integrated. So maybe for those guys, they are not so sure yet what their CPU can do on IGP, so they're going to spend more time on that. And we are again in the graphics test. I have the impression there the frames were slightly higher. Oh, seems that we have a little bit of
Ooh, that's pretty. Or is that the capture?
It seems to be the capture card.
Yeah.
So let's try to switch another input, see if going back and forth helps the capture card to switch back. Well, he's rebooting anyway, so should be fine. B-Boy Jess is running the benchmark and is hitting the last scene. With a beautiful butterfly.
So the butterfly, fly, butterfly. We should have a song for the benchmark.
But I don't think he's run the whole benchmark before that, so I think he's just passing that last scene where he had an issue before. Just to check quickly if it passes before he's gonna probably loop the whole benchmark again.
So what the overclockers can do is they can choose one of the graphic tests and just run that one to see where they go. And the way they know if the test would be better or not is they just look at a specific time in the benchmark and look at the frame number.
Yep.
So that's basically how they do it. Like they know that okay, when the butterfly passed this specific point, I was at like that many frames.
So far so good. Seems that the benchmark scene is playing out as it should, and we are hitting the end. So no issues there. Seems that he probably found a fix. Then again, it doesn't mean because that one passes that with the 3 scenes before that it's gonna pass well as well. But
I mean, you can even sometimes run a benchmark twice and the second run crashes, or the first one crashes the driver, then you run again and it doesn't crash the second time.
So see
really
what he did is
sometimes on
he
reruns.
Look at his previous screenshot. The previous screenshot was 280.4 FPS for GT4, so the fourth graphics. And you look at his score now, and it's 260 something. So it says, so it seems like okay, this should be almost about right. So now he's running with the tweak to see exactly the difference. So we can see exactly the difference for us as well.
We'll see if the tweak does something.
Well, for sure the tweak does do something on the stream.
Well, I mean, for people that would not know that there's such a tweak, this is a living proof of the tweak, if it works or not.
Don't forget, guys, we're having a target of the number of followers we are targeting on the stream. Once we hit 3,000 people following this stream on Twitch, Twitch TV, OverClocking-TV channel, we will do a giveaway on the live chat. So go for it, guys, go for it, and let your friend know that. Oh, it crashed.
It crashed it.
No, it canceled the. It did cancel the.
Yep.
Right. So I guess something was not to his likings in the displayed frames there, and I think he's rebooting the PC, so he just Did he just hit reset or something? Must be, yeah.
Well, let's switch back to our friend Rudy, that is tuning in inside the BIOS, the MSI
So let's
Z170 motherboard. The
So he's
CPU
running-
temperature shows 0 degree, but it's actually like negative something. It's actually negative 102.
It's actually fairly cold already. So increasing again the voltage by the a little tad, as you saw guys before, he was at 1.7, now 1.712. And rebooting again. The overclocking is a lot about rebooting. It must be something related to a love for the Windows loading screen. Starting Windows. Then again, thanks to SSD, the process has been shortened so much that we barely see it. We see more the activation window actually.
Well, especially when the guys are benching XP. If
Yep.
you look at some of the stream of Dr. Wiz when he's like trying to do some special optimization and so on, benching XP, you always have like this: please register, please activate your Windows. No, I won't. It won't last more than 30 days anyway.
So opening the benchmark again, and it's gonna run the full test. So you can see he selected performance, which is a 720p test there. Right now he's cooling down his CPU before actually running the benchmark, so making sure he gets to his target temperature. He's at minus 128, minus 130, minus 130.5. He's trying to be very precise there, pouring by little drops. Minus 131.5, minus 132, and driver display stop.
That was the question from Obi Opson. How do we enter the giveaway? So there's actually two giveaways going on. There's one on the official page on the overclocking-tv.com/raffle. You can find this one right on the website. This one you can win one of the 4 gift that we can have: the Corsair memory stick, Vengeance LED 2x8GB, 2666 C16 kit. That's a lot of 6 in the same name. That must be the diddle kits. Who knows? One Core i7, Core i5 6600K CPU. Once again, a lot of 6 in the name. A Seasonic P1000 power supply, and of course one sample of the BC1 Open bench table.
Yep, and we are back in the BIOS with our dear friend Rody, who's he had a driver the display driver that stopped working, and he checked quickly the render test. It didn't seem to be any issues, but he's back there changing the CPU PLLOC voltage, setting it to 1.8. So of course everything is gonna eventually turn red in that BIOS. DRAM voltage also being increased. Oh no, decreased by a little bit. Oh no, increased. Yes. 1.9. And then reboot again.
When I have a look at the scoreboard before he's going back into the system. So stage one with 3Merc03. So far RevOC is in the lead, followed by Oscar22, Aki Jungle, and speed.fastest. There's 1 hour and 30 minutes left. I'm surprised that Azan, Coldest, and Bibojis doesn't have a score submitted on that benchmark yet.
Yep, no score at the moment for any of them.
On the stage 2, 3Merc11 performances, RevOC, speed.fastest, Rodi, Oscar, and Ambahala. Once again, Azan not submitting any scores yet. That's quite surprising. Quite surprising. Azan and Bibojis doesn't have a score yet. And of course, reference look, no one else submitted score at this time.
I think everyone is gonna keep that one for the last 20 minutes. So Rodi is back on his render test there. And now he's using the MSI tool to tweak from within Windows. So you can access actually some of the parameters that you find in the BIOS straight from Windows, and you can change them in Windows in real time. So this is sort of the more advanced tool. If you're aware or know about, for example, XTU, where there's a lot less things here, it gives you access, for example, to PLL, PLLOC, PCH, ST voltage, etc. So those are things you don't have usually in XTU. So there must be a certain level of acceptable artifacts there.
Okay, we're not trying to make it looks the nicer. We are trying to make it the benchmark of the highest score. So everything is we can try anything we want there as long as we're not interfering with the system rendering the base.
You can see he's increasing slowly his GT voltage. Oh, decreased it again. So it's trying to see if adjusting that parameter changes the amount of artifact or not. They tried 1.8, seemed to be identical to me to what it was there at 1.6. Now sending it to 1.75. So Bildoid, how much of an expert are you in the render test that Voodoo Magic there to be able to interpret what the render test gives you?
I don't really use the render test for much else than just checking that my PCIe bandwidth is working properly. Usually, if I'm retesting, I'll just throw Unigine at it. And actually, I don't even I've never overclocked on a Intel CPU, but when I do my GPU overclocking, a lot of the time what I'll do is I'll have Heaven, so Unigine Heaven windowed, and next to that I'll have my overclocking utility, and I'll just go up until it crashes, and then restart and run 20 megahertz below what crashed last time. So. You know,
you're part of these people
the fastest
that just
way I found.
Yeah, you're part of these people that just try the benchmark over and over and over and over again.
So again, the display driver stopped responding.
Not so much run it over and over again. It's just like try to minimize the amount of time that I'm spending figuring out if something works. So.
Yeah, especially would be in a competition like this. Time is the essence. You don't have all the time in the world you would like to have, so you have to do it and do it fast.
Thank you, ZRDN, for the follow. Thank you very much. We still have a few follow to go to do a giveaway on the live chat, so if you're not doing it yet, just give us a follow on Twitch and share that on social media. Share that on your Facebook page, share that on your Twitter account, Instagram, Instapic, on Bigo Live. That's something we have just discovered here in Indonesia.
So what I just noticed.
Yep.
And what I just noticed with the system, when it crashes the Intel driver, when he restarted the render test, it wasn't artifacting any longer. It looks like the driver also dropped the GPU frequency back down to stock. So that really sucks. That basically means if you crash, you have to restart. So if you like hard crash, or if you crash it back into Windows. So.
Oh yep.
Yeah.
So here we have actually the screen of Hassan now. So Hassan, who is
Biboj is blue, Hassan is red, and Rudy is green.
Yeah, and we have pretty much a brochette of the
a brochette
of three overclockers within the top 5 of Indonesia. Hassan being the current number 1, very well placed also on the international ranking. He's running the Deer 3D Mark 03 complete benchmark, it seems.
This might be a good run. Let's do the voiceover of this benchmark.
Fuck, I forgot my toothbrush. I have to go.
It sucks. I'm so delayed. It's too bad I'm so delayed. I can't join in with you.
You will just have to, imagine what can you do.
Oh.
Oh, you have to learn it by heart and do it in advance.
I have to learn it by heart and talk a second ahead of myself. It's gonna be the next scene. He's gonna go and do whatever.
Incoming!
So.
No! Stop shooting at us!
Big shout out to Droid Insanity. Is a subscriber on the OCTV channel for 3 months in a row. Thank you very much. You have access to the special BSOD emote. There will be maybe some new ones coming anytime soon. Who knows?
Nice.
So there was some question from the live chat on the GS Paul Ding 0515. He's actually someone from Indonesia, if I remember correctly from the previous live. No head-to-head today, so no versus.
No, today are the qualifiers for the World Series. So basically, they have 3 hours to do the best scores they can in 3 benchmarks. Depending on how they rank in every single benchmark compared to each other, they get an amount of points. All of this is totaled up, and at the end of the day, we have an overall ranking. Top 4 is tomorrow into the semifinals, and from those semifinals onwards, everything is 1 versus 1 matches. So then it's basically same as what we saw yesterday. 30 minutes, 1 benchmark is picked, and they have to get the best score out there. The difference also hardware-wise with what is going on today is that today in the qualifiers they can use their own gear as long as it's from the specified brands that are allowed for this competition. And of course it's limited to Z170 platform, then they can make their own choice between i5 or i7, whichever they can afford. The rules of the competition being made that it's actually fairly equal to be on an i5 or i7 in that specific case. In the finals they will be provided with memory kits and CPUs. That's withdrawn and given to each individual overclocker an hour before the stream starts, before the match starts, sorry. So that will be a little bit challenging. You can't really start off from what you went through in your qualifier the day before, because you get a different set of hardware pretty much. So you have to work out what is the top of your CPU, how can you max it out into the one of the specific benchmark that will be drawn, which they don't know actually before the match starts. So basically, yeah, the semifinals are way more challenging and also quite entertaining because they are next to each other as well.
So let's go to B-Boy Gis on the right side of the camera,
stage?
on the blue team on the stage.
So back in the BIOS. He's running a current CPU graphics voltage. It was at 1.8, so it seems to be scaling it down to 1.730. Memory as 3466. So I'm not sure exactly what kits he's using right now at the moment, but it should be Corsair kits. And rebooting again. Meanwhile, Rody is in the BIOS. So let's switch back to Rody and see what he is doing in his BIOS. Adjusting CPU SA voltage. What is the CPU SA voltage, Pilzer? Do you know
that? So System Agent, that's the memory controller on Intel CPUs. So it basically helps get you stability with really high memory clocks or really tight memory timings. It's also one of the voltages that actually, the System Agent is actually more voltage sensitive than the CPU necessarily. So you usually don't. So if you're running, say, 1.4 V core, you really don't want to be running 1.4 System Agent for air cooling. Well, 1.4 actually I think might be fine, but generally the System Agent is a little more touchy than the core voltage. Luckily, the System Agent also generally doesn't need to be that high to get you really high memory frequencies and good timings, unless you have an exceptionally bad CPU, and then even huge amounts of System Agent might not necessarily help you get where you want to go. So
And it seems that
Yeah,
he's
it's
not
basically just-
rebooting, so I guess he changed too many things at once there, and something was not adapted. People chess in his BIOS, VCCIO. What is this one for?
That one, if I remember correctly, is also part of the memory controller system,
Okay.
but like a different section. But again, I don't have too much experience on Z170, so not 100% sure. I'd have to look up. I remember System Agent because that was on X79, but VCCIO is one of the more, like, newer, more useful, well, newer voltages that we have access to.
So on the right side of the screen, you can see Lucky Noob from the Jagat OC and Jagat review crew. He's one of the guy that were doing the workshop for the amateur as well. So
Yeah, and he's
teaching
in
them
the
what's going on.
He's the master judge today along with Peter, so they are collecting the scores when they need to be collected and make sure everything is in the screenshot. So now he's getting a screenshot from Hassan. So there's two files that Hassan needs to give him. The result file from 3D Mark, which is basically a secure file that can be tampered with, and that has sort of logs and specs and score and other things that the benchmark provides to verify the benchmark score. And he also needs to give him a screenshot, which is the result plus CPU-Z, GPU-Z windows open. On CPU-Z, you need several tabs. You need the motherboard tab. You probably need SPD memory at that point, and of course the very first one. And for GPU-Z, just open it up as well. You need all that in the screen as well as the score visible. Everything open at once. He's going to copy that to his USB key to give to Alva. So that's a score of 33. Yep, so he's just checking, showing it to Alva for inspection. Everything is nice. The goal here is to not cover anything that you should not cover up with one window of something else. Make sure everything is readable and on there.
So is he going straight away to the
running
bench?
4 tests.
So to get a score in 3D Mark 03, you only need to run the 4 game test. So the graphic test that actually the game tests are now called graphic tests in the newer benchmark. In 3D Mark 11 and so on, they're called graphic tests.
So he decided to just run Mother Nature there.
So he will not get a complete score. He will get the score for this game test, but not for the complete benchmark. So that's not something he can use to submit on the scoreboard.
Oh, and aborted. So he seems to be adding more LN2 into his pod. So that means he probably started it maybe a little bit too quick. Wasn't cold enough yet to get started on that. So of course, the start of the benchmark, you have a 500 FPS more or less when you're looking down to the water. But as soon as you look up and have the grasses and the water from the waterfall, the butterfly flying, the tree, the leaves, and the sunshine as well being rendered all there, you're dropping down by half of the amount of frames. So down from 500 to 200 something. This scene here also... Yeah, this scene here is very complex as well when you have the texture of the wall too. Here there's more waterfall and river and a butterfly flying.
Keep in mind this was actually released in 2003, so it's more than 13 years ago.
Yep. And even if you don't do that tweak, it still doesn't look as beautiful as you would think it would look, but it's still quite a nice looking benchmark.
So actually, if I look back at some very, very old article about 3D Mark 03, they say that the technical summary for the game test number 4 is DirectX 9 hardware with PS2 support. DirectX 9, come on, like we are like DirectX 11 for this.
It's been a while. It's been a while. It was when Counter-Strike 1.6 was still a thing.
Oh, not even 1.6.
1.5?
1.3, I guess. 1.2 or 1.3, like 2003.
2003? Yeah, we'll have to check. I'm not too sure.
I mean, Counter-Strike was not even out yet.
It's when everyone
Was
was thinking that there was only one map in Counter-Strike. It was called D-Dust and D-Dust 2.
That was the time. So he's running the complete benchmark now.
Yep. So yeah, he was satisfied with what he got on the Mother Nature render.
So game test 1, Wing of Furies. The game test itself is the only DirectX 7 test of 3D Mark 03. So yeah, you need at least 32 megs of memory to run that benchmark.
Oh my god, I think we have too much memory there.
You need 16 megabytes of video memory for the texture and 6 megabytes for the vertex buffer. So basically like 6 plus 1 for the buffers and 16 megabytes for video memories. Yeah. So the question is, how can this benchmark still be relevant today? So we're like past DirectX 11 on integrated graphics, DirectX 12 on discrete graphics cards. How can 3D Mark 03 be relevant in this field? Timothy, what's your take on that?
The point of a benchmark is not really to be graphically relevant, or even if it's, I mean, like it's DirectX 9. Yes, it's it's old stuff, and it's not used anymore by most of the games. But then again, the point here is to get a performance score that represents what your hardware is capable to do. And in that specific scenario of using it for overclocking, it really doesn't matter if it's relevant or not, because the point is not necessarily to be relevant at all to begin with. The point is to just beat the other guys by having the highest performance, and that's just one of the ways to measure it. It's just one among the many others. So it's one that was picked today. It was picked for its specific kind of predisposition. So some benchmarks are picked because they are more graphic oriented. Some benchmarks are more like a combo of graphics and memory. Some others are very CPU bound, because back in the day CPU was also way more important than graphics cards, and most of the games were before that time barely rendered much on the graphics to begin with. So
yeah, as you say, the goal is maybe it's not relevant for games of today, but it's relevant on the performances of the system. Give a shout out to Paus Aulia. Thank you for the follow. We have 5 more person to go. Only 5% to go to start our giveaway on the live chat. We will give away a dedicated t-shirt from this event. A special edition, actually. We'd have to give one of ours that we haven't used.
Yeah, it's size L.
Well, guys, keep pushing it and give us a follow on the Twitch TV OverClocking-TV channel. That is highly appreciated. We have 1 minute and 1 hours and 10 minutes left. I'm so used to the 30 minutes matches when you never have to say the hours.
Yep. So Hassan entering the last scene, the last graphic test of this benchmark. And no, once again, the turtle didn't catch the butterfly.
What a surprise!
Oh! I think it crashed.
Did it? Hassan is actually looking at his system.
Looking down to his
confused.
system. Probably has just no more output on the screen, and it's like, it was running before. Well, let's torch this thing.
If he's torching, that means it's over.
Yep. So we're gonna see him restart in seconds. Meanwhile, Rody is still...
It's actually changing the SSD. It's changing OS. So is he giving up? It's been 2 hours he's trying this benchmark and didn't get a score. Maybe you should just reduce a little bit the speed, get a score, and then move on to the next one, to the next benchmarks.
Yeah, maybe it's I don't know really what because he was running Windows 7 on that other SSD, right? So maybe he has another SSD with a different set of tweaks prepared, or I'm not too sure exactly.
Do you want to do extreme overclocking, extreme repair of the Windows OS?
For Windows 7? So, yeah,
See, that's the screen we were talking earlier today.
that's the one you see the most. So B-Boy there. Opening CPU Z. Yeah. Please nicer resolution. So much better.
So guys on the live chat, if you have any questions, let us know. You can ask your question to Build Zoid as well. He's here and will be answering all of your questions. Well, as long as it's hardware related.
Even the non-hardware related ones. Why not?
There's not much. I don't really know much about anything but hardware, so that's gonna be kind of crap. Where I'll just Google it. So
gives you the I'm lucky answer from Google.
So there was a question earlier on the live chat. There was a question earlier on the live chat. What memory frequency are they running? And BBOGs we can see is at 1700 megahertz. So that's 3.4 gigahertz DDR4 memory. 7 CAS 17, 18, 18, 36. But it's 3.4 gigahertz is only running 4 gigs of RAM in one stick. So that's his strategy for this benchmark. Maybe
so he's on the impact as well, so he only has 2 DIMMs anyway, possible in the ITX motherboard.
There's a good discussion going
sorry
on the live
about that,
chat.
mechanic.
Mechanical keyboard.
Yeah. I need to remember to mute my mic typing.
So, Bedzoid, you said you received a motherboard yesterday, and the LN2, is everything delivered on time?
Yeah. So I have 30. Well, at this, it's probably not 30. It's closer to 29. I have 29-ish liters of LN2, and I also have a new motherboard. So probably going to be swapping out my main motherboard. So that's my main system is an X99 platform, and right now it's a UD4P that I got secondhand, and and it has a 5960X in it. And basically I just got a new motherboard because I have a bunch of really not popular kits of RAM, so they don't work on any on your usual motherboard. So I'm finally found one that might work with them better. I hope it should work with at least one of the kits I have, at least one. So that's going to be, yeah, so basically swap out the motherboard and throw in the new throw in one of the RAM kits, test it out, get it working. Basically the plan is if I like the motherboard on the just air cooling and daily usage, I'll probably transfer it to LN2 for my LN2 sessions, and the UD4 will basically be back. Yeah, probably, though I think I'm going to do a few sessions first, off stream, just to make sure that I'm not completely useless on it, because X99 is, hell of a challenging platform. Highest heat output CPUs, highest, lots and lots of heat to deal with.
Highest everything,
Fiverr,
including
different.
price.
Yeah. True. Very, very true. Yeah. So I want to first figure out that figure out how to deal with it. and then maybe stream it. So actually, if that might be like 2 months away before I actually do anything on X99 live with LN2. Just because I'll need like a month to make sure that the motherboard doesn't like hate me and that I don't hate it.
You mean you started
yeah,
a love story?
that was the. I like to get personal with my hardware, you know. So anyway, it's
not
like,
sure I want to hear more
yeah.
about that.
That personal.
And then, holding a pot of Vaseline in his hand. Oh?
I personally prefer Plastidip, much less messy. Like, sure, Vaseline is great for insulating quickly, but it gets disgusting. Like, it picks up dust and everything, and it just gets really disgusting over time, so you have to wash it off every so often, and I just don't want to deal with that. Whereas with a Plastidip, I mean, I can ruin how the motherboard looks. So yeah, I'm actually thinking. So the new motherboard is a X99 titanium from MSI,
huh?
And so that's the silver one, and it has these like plastic. It has a plastic I/O shield thing, and I'm already very strongly considering dipping that bright orange, just because that might look cool, and it's. Just thought that yeah, you know, it's a bit of plastic, so it isn't really an issue if I color that, because it'll be really easy to take off. Whereas if you actually dip the motherboards, Plastidip coming off of motherboards is a massive pain. Not because it's such like hard to pull off, it just tends to tear if you do a really thin layer, and if you do and getting a thick layer takes a while. So
yeah, and it gets stuck on all the components sometimes.
Yeah, it gets stuck on like legs of capacitors, legs of basically anything that has a through-hole mount. It'll get stuck on it, and it gets stuck under RAM slots, under everything basically. So it's really a pain to remove. So I first want to be absolutely certain that me and the motherboard get along. I don't have a like getting settings dialed in and everything, because at some point with some motherboards it's like, you know, I just know what's wrong with it. It's not even like I don't have to worry too much about it. It's like my Rampage 4. It's a case of like, oh, we have this, just basically instantly know what to take care of. So basically, I want to get that to that point.
And we're gonna from Rody.
Oh, I got the blue screen too. Blue screen.
Too bad, man, you're late.
That gives everybody an idea of how late I'm on. So
yeah.
Yeah. So basically, the plan is to just get like comfortable with working with the titanium, and then maybe I'll move on to LN2 with it. Maybe do it first with dry ice, just because dry ice is less work, because X8 does have a cold bug issues. So with LN2, I'd have to like, you know, deal with having to make sure that the temperature is very specific, whereas with ice, it's basically just make sure there's dry ice in the LN2 pot and run with it. So yeah, but that's a bit off, because again, I don't want to have to deal with a system that, you know, on dry ice or on LN2 several degrees below zero, and I can't figure out why it's not working, because that just sucks. So
yeah, especially if you're
yeah,
live and people are waiting, that you're like, this is the worst station of my life.
It's like, yeah, I want to first make sure that I don't have any issues on air cooling. If I do have issues on it, well, not air, water cooling, if just ambient. So if I first figure out how to deal with everything on ambient and transfer over to sub-ambient cooling systems. So yeah, that should be fun. I really want to run the Fury X's on LN2, except now I have 3 of them because I killed one. But at least one of them will end up on LN2. So do single GPU for, so Fury X on LN2, 596EX on LN2 eventually, and then maybe do 5960X on LN2 and multiple GPUs, because for three-way and four-way fire strike, it's actually more about, like, you can get a lot of points just by doing really high C clocks. You don't need so much GPU overclocking there, so
you need
it's more efficient to just cool.
You need to create a relation with your hardware, and you're talking about two-way, three-way, four ways.
This is getting better and better.
Keep going. I like your story.
Yeah, so that's sort of the plan for that motherboard. But before that, I think I'll probably do some AMD hardware on LN2. Do another run for 5 gigahertz, another run for 8 hertz, because I did just above 8 gigahertz, but I really want to do like 8.1, 8.2 or something. So try that again. Yeah, that's pretty much the plan. So yeah.
Yep. So Azan, still in 3D Marco 3. If we take a look at the ranking to see what this is how it is going for him, because I saw he gave a USB key to Peter a few minutes ago. So it seems that there's still no score here.
He does seem to have a score for stage 2, but I don't know if I missed that while answering your questions on the chat.
He's actually on top of stage 2.
So you got a 3393 marks.
That's the one you gave to.
That's the one that we saw when Alva was inspecting it.
At the end, butterfly. The butterfly. The last scene, game test 4, last scene of 3D Marco 3. We pass by the river and land on the rock. The battle is intense, maybe it will fall and touchdown! Spook!
And let's see the score,
30,250. That's actually the worst score we have seen in this competition.
Yes, but come on. It's just getting started. It's only like 1 hour left.
He had 2 hours to get started. Must be having some kinds of...
Yeah, he's struggling a little bit there.
He has some kind of driver issues, because he just checked GPU-Z and it looked like, at least it said 450 megahertz, so I guess he has some kind of problem with the graphics card not clocking, integrated graphics not clocking properly.
Yep.
He might have broken his Windows.
Well, he changed SSD already before, so...
Well, if he broke his Windows, that's not going to be easy during winter, huh? Okay, just for you to get it completely. If he broke his Windows, that's not gonna be easy during winter. Magnificent loading screen of Windows.
All right.
The worst I've ever done to my Windows installs is that it wouldn't like start GPU-Z, so I couldn't validate anything. Because it literally wouldn't start CPU-Z or GPU-Z. It would still run some benchmarks, but it just wouldn't open those. I was like, what the hell did I do? Luckily, I didn't have to reinstall. I managed to fix that. So, somehow.
We'll have some more viewpoints. As Timothy Xiala is going around with the system. So let's do an overview of all the contestants. There's 1 hour left. Let's see what the guys are doing. So let's have a quick recap of the scoreboard now. So far, at the moment, we have Coldest in the lead, followed by Rev OC, B-Boy G's, Enki Jenkol, and Speed Fastest. If you look at this, only Eki and Coldest managed to submit it, score in the 3 stages. So this is an advantage for them. But Rev OC is quite strong on the scores because they have 43 points. When Coldest have only 47 points and submitted in 3 stages. So that's not a big difference between them. I think there's something wrong with the calculation site actually. That does not compute.
What, 25 plus?
No, it's not 25, it's actually 18 points.
Yeah, I know. Oh. Wait, Coldest's stuff, the score is messed up. 15, that's 30.
Let me reload the page.
Coldest should be at like 58. Unless I can't count.
So this is the official score, 16, 13, 18. For a total of 47 by Coldest. This is much better like this. So, Coldest, followed by Rev OC, B-Boy Cheese, Eki Jenkol, Speed Fastest, Oscar Roo. What else do we have? Oscar Roo, then Azan, and Bala. Rodi only submitted in 1 stage, same as Hassan. But so far, Oscar Roo, the amateur from yesterday, is in 6th place out of 9. So, quite a decent score so far. Let's have a look at what we can see. So here we are on the setup of Oscar Roo 22. Is trying to melt the ice on top of his system. You can see this is... Here there's a lot of condensation. This is super humid in Indonesia, in Yogyakarta. So Bill, do you usually have this kind of issue as well with your setup when you do extreme overclocking at home?
So I'm in the UK and I'm close to I'm relatively close to the sea. So I do get quite a lot of condensation, but I've seen something this bad. So my main issue was I had to recently I significantly upped my insulation techniques, and now I can, it used to be that I basically had about an hour to 2 hours before stuff would just break because water everywhere. These days I can usually run for closer to 3 or 4. I've never actually run more than 3 hours on LN2 because I get on streams I've never run more than LN2 because that's a lot of LN2 to use. And after 3 hours I'm pretty exhausted on streams. So yeah, but these days I've actually, with the new installation techniques, I haven't had any proper water issues in quite a while. So yeah, but the condensation is still pretty bad. So yeah, I remember in the Czech Republic I basically had really terrible insulation. No sane person would use my insulation techniques, and it ran fine. Way longer than here. So nothing as bad as this, but still way worse than some continental areas. So
yeah, you can see that it's melting all over the pot. So this is a technique as well. You need to know how to to manage this kind of challenges here with the Indonesian weather. Oh yeah. Okay, I won't say the comment I was about to make. Blow that up! Blow that up!
It's interesting to see he's only using 2 of his mounting hardware, not all 4. He only has 2 of the who's holding the pot down instead.
Maybe you just have 2 and the 2 others are lost.
I didn't just is he only running 2 because he doesn't need the others, or did he lose them? That's like an interesting choice, because
Well, don't forget,
most of the time,
this is actually the hardware
like
from Lucky Noob, because Oscar Route 22 is the amateur from yesterday, so it doesn't own any cooling gears yet. So this is actually the system from Lucky Noob.
So Lucky Noob lost 2 of his mounting hardware.
That could happen. Or maybe he's just only using 2. That could be something they do here in Indonesia. Like, just 2, no need, that's my style.
Yeah, because it's like most overclockers I know, everybody's just like, oh, you need very precise amounts of pressure and stuff. Especially for GPUs, it's like everybody's like, oh yeah, you have to get like this perfect mounting. And so everybody cares a ton about, you know, how they mount their system. And then seeing somebody run 2 hardware is like, well, even I don't run 2 hardware. And I use freaking water bottles to hold dry ice for me, so... it's a bit surprising.
Well, it's quite interesting to see what the guys can do. Oh, we got a slight issue on the other side. Oh my god, look at this. There's like ice everywhere. There's like tissue. There's tissue stuck in the fan. There are tissue stuck in the fan on RevOC system.
Oh.
I think it's because
This
he's
is
using
why we have
it's because he's using the fan to blow the smoke away, and oh no, that was not RevOC. That was Coldest. So Coldest had some issue with the fan. So he was so actually it's because he used the fan to blow the fume of the nitrogen away, and once he was actually firing up the system in making sure it's warming up the system to remove the ice, I think that the system just went back. Okay, let's release all the paper.
See, I have a general rule that if benching, it's like I am not gonna warm up the system back to liquid water temperatures unless I want to quit. Because at least with my installation, once I hit water temperatures, everything is screwed. It's just over at that point.
What we can see here is actually the installation from RevOC. You can see there's Vaseline on the board. There's paper towel in the RAM slot as well, and of course he's putting this tape around the CPU.
It's between the RAM slots. It's not actually directly in the RAM slots itself. So this tape thing, I do that as well for my CPUs to stop water running down around the, run down off of the pot to stop it from getting down into the socket. It catches that for you.
So he's playing with the credit card trick. The one big layer of thermal paste from the top, and then applying with a credit card, or actually in that case a Starbucks card. This is supposed to evenly distribute the thermal paste on the CPU, but we will only know that once it's mounted. The only way for you to know if the mounting is correct is when you do it and you test. Can't know it before.
Yeah, when you fire it up. That's another thing. I've only been running LN2 for like a relatively short time, so I still need to figure out like some mounting temperature differences and all that, because you have the probe inside your LN2, you have the temperature probe inside your CPIT, which you can actually access from the BIOS, or you can use the probes inside the CPIT itself. And the thing with that is, it's like after you mount the pot, right? After you go sub-zero, you're not going to be able to get temperature readings any longer. Like, I don't know any hardware that reads sub-zero right now. I have a few motherboards that claim to read sub-zero, but the readings are really, really off.
Yeah, it's sub-zero until negative 20.
Yeah, so I've seen a few that go sub-zero until like -50 or sub-zero till -70. That's actually really weird. My GT710, right, with Precision X from EVGA, their OC utility, that reads down to like -60, and it seems to be somewhat accurate. So I'm like, that's weird. That's a completely budget card, and it's the only card I have that doesn't need any proper temperature sensing, because the freaking thing reads the temperatures. But yeah, so usually what I do is my pot and like do all of my mounting, and then just check the difference between the probe that you're using and the probe on the motherboard is just a small amount. And if the temperature is pretty much the same, then I go like, okay, the mount is good, and I pull it down. And because after it's down, you can't check the temperatures again. So I'm actually trying to experiment on GPUs with figuring out a way to get not necessarily accurate temperature data, but some temperature data between the GPU pot and the GPU PCB to see like if I can get some kind of like, it doesn't need to be super accurate. It just needs to tell me that, oh, there's something wrong with the mounting system, right? So because any information is better than no information, in my opinion. So I'm gonna try experiment with that. It's like, it's a lot of really boring work testing stuff like that, and I don't really have a ton of LN2. So when I do have LN2, I want to use it on live streams. So I haven't really had a chance to test that kind of stuff much. So
Much. Yet.
yeah. So right now I'm really looking. Yeah. So right now I'm really looking into maybe getting a second DWAR somehow, and if I have twice as much LN2, I can still do the same amount of LN2 streams, and then also, off of the back of that, do my own testing, boring everybody to death. So
No, it's not boring at all. You failed so hard that it's fun to watch.
no, but here's the thing, on the streams, it's like I actually, like, my personal testing sessions are really, really boring. Like, boring, mind-numbingly dull. I sort of sit there and I dial in stuff, happens, and I'm like, okay, that didn't work. Try something else. That didn't work. Try something else. That didn't work. Try something else. You know, just over and over and over again. And also, if I was doing delta temperature testing and mount testing, right, I'd on purpose be trying to fail the mounting system. If I fail the mounting system, it's like, pull it down for like 10 minutes. I fail the mounting system on purpose. I pull it back up, and then I can't rebench because there's water everywhere. So it's just, yeah, it's not. It in my opinion, it wouldn't make for a very good stream. So basically, I just run it for just testing purposes.
Well,
So
you were able to see just earlier. There's different kind of internals for the CPU pod. So that means the internal of the cooling system can be different from time to time. So we saw one that was a square base with a lot of holes inside. Then just earlier we saw one that was with like 5 different holes. Stuff in the middle, rounded
left
in the
holes.
middle.
Yeah.
But that was the joke I didn't want it to do just earlier. Come on.
Well, I mean, that's the big difference, right? Every single hole adds surface to area, and less holes is less surface area, more holes is more surface area. And the big difference with surface area is you pour the LN2 in, and if you have a lot of surface area, you get a really quick pull down. Also, every hole takes out mass out of the bottom of the pot. So if you have a lot of holes, it's less heavy. You have very few holes, it's more heavy, and a heavier base for the LN2 pot. You know, it'll hold temperature. Like, you need more heat being put into it to change the temperature, and you also need. And the same goes in reverse. If you pour LN2 on it, it takes forever to pull it down. Whereas if you have more holes, you have less mass. You pour a little bit of LN2, you get more temperature change than on the heavier base. And also, if the CPU starts putting out heat, it also raises it quickly. So a lot of the
It's always a
LN2
balance.
pods.
You always need to find the right balance.
It's always a balance, unless you're Der Bauer. Unless you're Der Bauer, where you just go, okay, we're gonna make 2 kilograms of copper, and we're gonna put so many holes in it. I mean, the pots he designs, it's insane. I mean, 2 kilograms of copper, just solid freaking pot as hell. So, yeah, he basically, like, he has the beast pot, which is like the no compromise option where it's super, has a ton of surface area, and it just absolutely destroy, like, you know, way, like, really complicated internals design. And it's just like, apparently it's everybody's favorite LN2 pot. I never got to use it, and I don't think I have enough to actually appreciate what that pot offers. So yeah, but he also does the same for GPU pots now, where the insides of the pot is just insanely over-designed, and actually his GPU pots have been really heavy for ages now. His Fusion line, like his, you know, more affordable LN2 pots he designs, were usually they're like 1.5, if I remember correctly, and they're partially aluminum, so the copper base is actually slightly lighter than that. And then his GPU pots have always been in that ridiculous 2 gram range, which is also really kind of sucks for your GPU, because that's like the GPU's PCB has to carry that entire thing. So,
well, you can always put some stuff in below it to maintain it in place.
Yeah, to try hold it. Yeah, try hold it up. So
don't forget, guys, we are seeing Hassan. Hassan is competing today in the HWBOT World Series, the extreme overclocking competition here. This is the last day this is the last chance for them to win one of the golden tickets for the HWBOT World Championship in early December this year. Hassan had a lot of opportunities before actually the previous event. We were in Taiwan, and he was in the final of the HWBOT World Series, but sadly it did not manage to reach the final score. He did not manage to beat his opponent, Extreme Addict, but that's not a big deal, because today he's fighting against all the other Indonesians here on the screen. B-Boy Jis, JC from Indonesia as well. So out here we have 9 person. Oh my god, we are having on JC. Oh, that was quite fast. We had a blue screen on JC system. That's why he's looking quite frustrated. There's only 35 minutes left in this qualifier. So the qualifier, they have to run a Z170 motherboard. They have to use the HD 530 Intel integrated graphic processing unit. So that means they can use the i5 6600K or the i7 6700K if they deactivate the hyper-threading. The reason for that is to make it fair for everyone. Of course, they can use any sort of cooling they want. They are using a lot of liquid nitrogen here today. The reason for that is they can control down the temperature down to negative 200 degrees. Usually they will stay between negative 100 and negative 120. What is important here today, they have 3 stages, 3 benchmark to run. 3D Mark 03 in stage 1. Right now the leader of this stage is Rev OC. The second benchmark is 3D Mark 11 performances, where Hassan, currently number 1 in Indonesia, is leading. And of course the third one is the maximum reference clock. Right now it's B-Boy G's having the maximum reference clock. Of course, this one, the last one, is the one we have the most chance to see a blue screen. So we'll maybe see that a little bit more. As you can see, there's a lot of people following what is going on here. We are in Yogyakarta, in the middle of the Java Island in Indonesia. We are Jogja.com-Tech. That's one of the festival, like electronic festival here. And there's a lot of people from universities as well. Something like the guy behind Lucky Noob, that is one of the newcomer. Was from some university here, the UNS OC team. That is, it was an amateur yesterday and is now moving to the extreme. Right next to our cameraman, we actually do have someone that is from the UNS OC team as well. The Unsoci team is something I really like to shot. It's been like about 3 years now that they have this overclocking team. This is the overclocking team of the university, and basically these guys are being sponsored by the university to do overclocking. This is great. This is something I wish we could see in more countries, in more part of the world. This is something very special about Indonesia. Extreme overclocking here is a thing. Overclocking here is a thing. People always want to know how these things works and push it to the maximum. I can't wait to see what's going on in the next few minutes, because we only have half an hour left in this HWBOT World Series qualifier to know who will get access to the semi-final tomorrow. So the 4 lucky guys will access the semi-final of tomorrow. That will be a 1 versus 1 format, so that we'll have to face head-to-head each other to make sure that everything is good. Of course, we are having HWBOT Massman here, not making sure that all the scores are being uploaded correctly on the scoreboard. Having a look at the scoreboard, B-Boy Jizz is in the lead. B-Boy Jizz is one of the top overclocker in Indonesia today, and he's going full on. So far, he's the winner of stage 3. That's why he have 25 points for that stage. He's ranking quite good in the 2 other stages. What is important for him is the total scores. So to get 16 points is actually but I don't see it in the scoreboard. Oh, anyway. So far B-Boy Jizz is in the lead. Speed Fastest is second. Coldest is third, with the exact same number of points as Rev OC. Oh, and there was a new update of scores live when we were talking about that. Speed Fastest is now going up the ranking at 51 points in total. Let's have a look at what the guys are doing. We are having on the red side Mr. Hassan, and on the blue side B-Boy Cheese, benching both for their competition. So Belzoid, it's been 2 hours and 30 minutes in this qualifier. What do you expect? What was the highlight you had for the past 2 hours and 30 minutes?
Well,
you can see that it's pushing quite hard. So just to come back quickly on what we are seeing now is you can use different way to eat up your CPU pod. So basically you can use the hairdryer. I know that's your favorite techniques, Belzoid, but here they can use hairdryer, heat gun, or blowtorch. So the blowtorch will definitely help to be more efficient. I would personally prefer the blowtorch. It's not easy to bring it everywhere, but that's, to my point of view, the most efficient way of doing it.
That's a really unique pot design. Seen that one, so
this one is the modifiers. They made some, I think it's from one of the university teamwork as well. So basically what they do is they created their own CPU
it looks
pod.
really skinny, so.
And they also had their own delete tool. They made it their own delete tool to remove the top of the CPU to gain better frequencies.
Yeah, it just looks really skinny, so.
If you guys are on the live chat and cheering for one of the teams or one of the contestants today, let us know if you're cheering for Rev OC, Speed Fastest, B-Boy G, Coldest, Oscar Route 22, Eki, Ambarahalas, Azan, or Rodi. Let us know who you are cheering for. I know that Fat or Thin is cheering for UNSOC. Go, go, go. If you like any of these guys, give us a follow on Twitch. We have 5 more people, and then we will do a giveaway on our live chat. Let's have a look at what all the teams are using. The first one with the just give a look is Rodi is using the MSI motherboard. I guess this one is the X Power Titanium Edition gaming or gaming titanium gaming.
No, it's X Power Gaming Titanium. I made a very long rant at the start of my of my motherboard about how that name is stupid.
Z170A X Power Titanium Gaming Edition. Oh yeah.
No. It's Z170A X Power Gaming Titanium. Because, you know, they like put all the words on it. Somebody will pick up.
Get all the keywords. But this board
actually,
looks super nice.
It's
I
Titanium
really like
Edition.
I really like the colors.
Yeah, it looks very nice. Yeah, it looks really nice. It'll look much better when it's orange. So yeah, but it is a really nice board, and it's nice to see that you know, MSI is making such a strong board for overclocking as well. But then again, they've been making overclocking motherboards for quite a while with the M Power and X Power line, and basically the X Power Gaming Titanium Edition is basically them marrying the overclocking with the gaming line, and so you get all of the usual overclocking features that you'd want, but you also get upgraded audio and I think killer Ethernet. I think. Not exactly sure what the gaming part of the motherboard's upgrades is, because I honestly don't care, so I'm just like, it's an overclocking motherboard. Does it overclock good? Yep, that's what I want.
And
So,
there you have
yeah, it's nice to see. So, it's...
We do have AOCT, and that is using the same board as Rudy, so they both use the Z170A X Power Gaming Titanium Edition. Yeah, I got it right!
Yeah! But I think it'd be easier to just call it the Titanium Z170A Titanium. You know, there's not any other titanium boards.
I remember when they went out,
the X99
I like the color, I like the design, I like the name.
Give me a second.
Okay.
I need to go. Somebody's at the door.
And I say, please just don't call it gaming. And the next thing they do is like gaming. Ah, no, please. But it's okay. The board is doing fine. So yeah, another kind of board we're using here. I guess this one is the Maximus Impact. Right. Maximus 8 Impact. So this one is a mini ITX format, when the other one are full ATX format. So basically, this board is very good for memory overclocking. The reason for that, that's a Gene motherboard, I guess. So the reason for that is because it's the small form factor, so that does help on having the memory slot very close from the CPU. So that means less time for the CPU to communicate with the memory stick. So that means it would be faster. Yes, the Maximus 8 Impact motherboard here being used with the Kingpin cooling Venom bot. That's of course there's a complete market for cooling gears for extreme overclockers. This one is the setup of coldest. This one is the setup of coldest. Negative 88 and negative 88 degrees. This is definitely a nice way of cooling down your CPU using liquid nitrogen. Another Maximus 8 Impact being used by B-Boy-G's. Seems like this one is being quite useful for him, as he's currently topping up in the ranking.
So what did I miss?
Not so much. We're going around a few different motherboards. While we're discussing, actually, Rev OC jumped onto the first place in the overall ranking at 1 more point than B-Boy-G's. So Rev OC is having 58 points, while B-Boy-G's is stuck at 57. You can see B-Boy-G's Lucky Charm here. That's funny to see that he and Lucky Noob have those little figurines that they always bring with them when they do overclocking.
So we're sort of getting into...
Yeah, sorry, Blizzard, do one last update about the scores. I was saying Rev OC at 58 points, BBOGs at 57 points, Speed Fastest 49, Coldest 46, and Aki at 38. We can see that Speed Fastest and Coldest on 3rd and 4th place are quite close in terms of score. Rev OC and BBOGs are super close in terms of score. There is less than 23 minutes in this run for the qualifier, so let's see what they can do out of that.
I know. I just wanted to say that we're sort of moving towards the end here, and I think we're going to start seeing the competition heat up as we get towards the last 20 minutes of this, because there's a few people who still haven't submitted they still haven't submitted 2 scores, so maybe they're just sitting on some epic scores to try get everybody by surprise, or they're having serious issues with their systems, and so it'll be interesting to see if they manage to get those scores in sometime soon. So we could see this rankings still get very, very heavily mixed up. I don't know if some people haven't submitted anything for quite a while, so we don't know if that's because they're sitting on scores, or if they're having issues, and if they manage to resolve those, then we could see some major changes to the rankings.
Let's hope that for them they have some scores in their back pockets. We're seeing Azan set up right now, eating up the CPU bot with the torch lamp, as we were saying, one of the few different way of eating up your CPU bot.
Has Hazan managed to resolve that issue he had with the GPU not properly yet? Because that was what was stopping him on trying to submit to stage 1, right? He was getting really low scores in 3D Mark 03 because his GPU wasn't running properly. If he gets that solved, he could still do some seriously nice scores, because for stage 2, he's currently number 1, so his GPU is capable. He just needs to get it to work in 3D Mark 03.
And he's now back into
he could
the
make
system,
a surprise
so yeah,
recovery.
he can definitely make a surprise.
He could make a surprise recovery.
Going into the BIOS, adjusting, and let's see what he's putting on. $425 BCLK. So I'm thinking he's actually going for the BCLK frequency. I think he gave up on the issue of having the best 3D Mark 03 scores.
Yeah, but he should still at least get a 3D Mark submission in so that he gets some points. I don't know how the scaling works for this competition, but it looks like he'd get, at least something for being 8th instead of having 0 points for not submitting.
So let's have a look at the other side of the arena. Some of the other overclockers. We are seeing Oscar Route 22 now. You can see that there is no more ice on the system. Everything has been dried out, and he will be trying to do some bench again. So you can see he's using an MSI motherboard as well. This one is maybe a M5 or M7. He have won yesterday because he's one of the winners for the amateur tournament from yesterday. Of course, using the Seasonic PSU. Yes, the Z170A Gaming M7 motherboard. I was right about that one. He's using the Intel Core i5-6600K CPU. Most probably the one from yesterday, because you won one as well. Dining into the settings. Playing with the power button. Oh, something is wrong as he's unplugging the system. Let's move to his next, the person that is next to him, that is Rev OC, currently on the top of the leaderboard. He improved by 1 point. Is actually his complete score, so he's at 59 points against 57 for B-Boy G's. You can see he's using I guess he's using a MSI motherboard as well. Oh no, this start button is definitely Asus. Yeah, you can see from the power button where they are placed on the board, or the side of the the shape of the button, if it's like what kind of motherboard it is. Going into the BIOS and adjusting.
You can also tell.
Yep.
You can also usually tell because Asus refuses to put the extra frequency changing buttons on their motherboards. Like they won't have the plus minus buttons ever. I don't think there's a single board they've put out that has those. Unless my memory isn't serving me correct. So, and I actually find those buttons really useful, which is actually part of why I'm moving over to a new motherboard. So, because those are really convenient because you don't need to have an open utility or anything when you know, benchmarking or overclocking or whatever. You just press the button and your BCLK goes up. You can have CPU-Z and everything opened up ready to take a screenshot. Press the button, screenshot. Press the button, screenshot. You know, and that really makes your life easier when going for really high frequency runs, because you don't have the time to be, you know, extra software running to basically get a better clock. So
moving on to his next neighbor, Mambalahala, that is using the Maximus 8 Hero. So this motherboard is another Asus motherboard, and you can see there's a lot of paper towel going around, and some of the guys wanted to bench with a graphic card, some of them benched with only the IGP. The graphic card was just to diagnose some of the system, but they have to do all this, the graphics score for 3DMark 03 and 3DMark 11 performance with the IGP of the Intel CPU. As you can see, a lot of ice as well. I'd like to give a shout out to Dafex, one of our new followers. 4 more to go to reach out the target. And B-Boy G's jumped again on top of the ranking. Let's have a look right away. 57 points now. Speed fastest second at 55 points, and Rev OC dropped to the 3rd place. You can see how happy he is. It's like, yes, I'm back on the top. There's only 15 minutes left. 15 minutes left. Highly concentrated overclocker. Very well known here. They have a lot of fans. There's a lot of people around watching what's going on here. And he's relaunching the benchmark again. While B-Boy is running one more time 3DMark 03, let's have a look at the Asus motherboard, Z170 base motherboard of speed.fastest. Speed.fastest using, they pretty much all use this, the CPU bot from Kingpin Cooling here, except Rodi, that is using a bot that is designed here in Indonesia. Another Asus board. And as you can see, the blue paper towel, something that we really want to have as an overclocker. They are all using the X series PSU from Seasonic. Seasonic, partner of the HWBOT World Tour 2016 season. Thank you very much, guys, for supporting this event. And these PSU have been doing a great job at powering the system for both the amateur and the extreme overclockers. Let's have a quick look at the scoreboard. There is 13 minutes left in this qualifier so far. B-Boy Jizz is in the lead to get into to win this qualifier, but keep in mind only the top 4, actually not only, but the complete top 4 of this qualifier will get into the final run tomorrow. Let's have an overview about everything, what's going on here. You can see there's a lot of people watching the current overclockers. And you can see, of course, Massman from HWBOT on the other side of the arena. First, on the foreground, you have Zan, and in the background, you have B-Boy Cheese. Azan have already the experience of the HWBOT World Series. Of course, he was there in the Asia stop in Taipei, Taiwan. Finally, sadly, he did not win against Extreme Addict in the final. He's quite a strong overclocker, as he can pull up some very decent score, but he's been struggling for this special qualifier here. He's only having 1 stage submission only on 3D Merc performance. Let's have a look at B-Boy G's benchmark. Oh no! It just crashed in the game test 4, just before he was having the almost before he was having the final score. That was the last test of the benchmark, and he had to reset the system.
And
the official time left is not the one on the stream, is actually the one on ocesport.io. So we will have to remain consistent with the official rules here and let this timer go on the live. But keep in mind there is about 10 minutes left in this special qualifier for the HWBOT World. It cannot click on OK. Oh my god, this resolution is very, very bad. We have a Ciela that is back here. So let's do the commentary on the the last benchmark we will be able to see here today. So this is it, going into the benchmark and running Wing of Fury, the Plains Battle. Oh no, I've been touched. Mayday, 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 no! Oh my god, I'm getting on the big one! And... Flash!
I'm gonna get hit by copyright. No, that's actually possible. So
Story time.
I know
Once
you like
upon
you
a time.
can't.
Yeah, that's the issue. We're gonna
There
kick out
was
of
4
Facebook if we do that.
Marines in an elevator. They had guns, lots of guns.
Too many guns. And actually, one is gone. They walk into the hallway. Look at the space.
They stare into the void of space and see how life is so useless.
Guys, let's jump. Let's jump.
Cannot dawdle, for they have to get anger.
They're waiting
to
for the
escape
door.
the
They're
now
waiting.
damaged beyond repair ship. They are met with resistance. It's so bad. I'm behind you. I don't know what you guys are actually seeing, so I'm commenting like 3 seconds behind on what's happening.
Oh, you did a good job.
Memorized it at this point.
Close the door. Close
the door.
Get to the ship. Get to the chopper.
Story time. Once upon a
In
time,
a castle with a glow.
In a castle with a glowing with a glowing lightsaber.
Everybody
for
knows
the
storytelling
anti-class.
is best when you just use like a ridiculously epic voice for
Wait,
everything.
Wait, I think I can do something.
We can do something better than that.
Good luck.
There was a time the door opened. 2 trolls were playing a weird game with 4 rocks.
No, you won. You won, and I will kill you. And you will my Go away, peasant. I will smash your head with my piece of wood. Ah! She got me!
Tim nails the troll
He
voice.
hurts! He hurts!
Absolutely nails it.
I'm so scared! I'm so scared! I'm so scared!
The troll ran into the living room
Smack.
and sadly hit the door. He could not escape. The trolls are gone. It's time for the river and the butterfly.
Look at this water. It's so HD. It's so incredibly high graphics.
And it's crashed!
By 2003.
Hello.
And it crashed! Oh, but this is not good for... That was 5 minutes just to get that far and then crash, basically. Because we started commenting on this, like, yeah, almost 5 minutes ago. So
Yep.
that's a major problem. Because that benchmark, well, at least it works that you, as long as you start the benchmark before the end of the competition, you know, you still get to finish the run and submit that. Or does that change for these?
Oh, you have to start again, eh?
Yeah, well, no. I'm talking about if you start the benchmark before.
Oh no, as long as
like,
the benchmark is started before the
Yeah,
end
you
of the
can finish,
qualifier,
yeah.
the score
that
will
still applies.
be,
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that still applies. So, yeah. It's going to be
Tonight's,
interesting to see what he does to make sure that it actually finishes.
It might actually be
If
just
he
the
makes
last
sure that
time
it
he has time to go in the BIOS to change something.
Oh yeah, this is almost certainly the last time he's getting in the BIOS, unless he wants to spend 4 minutes in it, because the benchmark takes like 4 minutes to finish. I mean, some of those scenes are like 1:20.
Yeah. So you got to pick your settings.
Did his
and
BIOS
pick well.
just crash? Did his BIOS just crash?
No.
No, he was just
I
not
had a-
doing
No,
anything.
he was thinking. He was thinking.
It's because we told him to pick wisely, so he had like a little hesitation.
Oh, we have Roddy that is benching 3D Mark 03 as well.
Yes! The story starts again. So what voice would the pilot have? I'm alive!
Gentlemen, this is your captain speaking. We are having minor air turbulences. No worries. Just keep your seatbelt fastened. I'll go to the bathroom. I ran out of words there. Didn't think it through
you
enough.
would go a good flight attendant.
Ding, ding.
This is your captain speaking. We are under attack by enemy planes. It's nothing to worry about. We've experienced this 3 times before on this flight so far. They always go for the bombers. We're not a bomber. We're fine.
Alright guys, piece of cake, we're going there, we smash their heads and then we go home have a burger, okay?
And imagine if one of the guys have a voice like this.
This like, hey guys, I want you to take me seriously. This is your commander.
Guys, I don't like shooting people. Why did I get signed up for this? I didn't sign up for this. Where are we going? What the hell is that? Why are they shooting at us?
Don't worry,
I'm gonna get PTSD.
don't worry, in the next room we will suicide yourself.
It's like, I signed up to be in game phase 4
I
with the
want
butterfly.
suicide.
Guys,
I
I'm in
don't
the
want a
process.
suicide. I want to watch a butterfly.
Oh!
Get to the chopper. Oh my god, that was awful! Why did we do this?
There's 2 minutes 30 left at the official timer. So I think for most of the guys that will be about the last run they're doing. Rody is doing a run at the moment. We have also Hassan in a run. And B-Boy Jess is back in Windows, quickly selecting the right graphical tests. And so it's always that moment, you know you have 2 minutes to launch the benchmark, so you quickly don't forget the resolution tweak.
So Azan is running the benchmark again on 3 Mark 03, and B-Boy G's will be running it soon. Then it runs.
Alright, there's gonna be an interesting last 2 runs.
So you will be able to compare if you look at the frame once it does hit. Now, so it's about 10.9 K frames. Let's look on the right side. Oh, it's already almost 11K on this one. So actually, B-Boy's score should be higher than Azan. Of course, this is just one out of the 4 tests, and the calculation is taking into account all that.
Yeah, at that point in time for the guys, it's no point to restart. There's only 1 minute and 14 seconds left. So basically, you have to just let it run and start praying and waiting that everything goes well. Rody on his side is finishing the benchmark. He just wrapped up almost. Oh, well. All right. I had a bug on my side. So he's wrapping up his last graphical test there.
If it crashes now, that'll be some crushed hopes and dreams.
that will be painful. There's only 40 seconds left, so it's gonna be.
Let's cheer with him. What is the score you have to beat? The score you have to beat is his own score that we can't see on this screen. I will tell you. Rudy need a score. It just need a score on this benchmark. So there's 17 seconds left. Start the benchmark. So Rudy, if Rudy have a score now, that means he can submit it for the championship. It will have a score. The benchmark did not crash. So the benchmark did not crash. Rudy is having 35,092 points. So Rudy will be adding a score of 35,092 points. Oh, it was not. It did not submit it, so it says it's over. So we have the 2 main guys now on the stage. These 2 guys, Azan and B-Boy-G's. Oh, Azan is gone. Crashed. Didn't work. So B-Boy-G's is actually... No, he can improve his score. Because so far on the ranking, that's speed.fastest that is on the top, followed by RevOC, then Azan, then BBOGs. BBOGs need a good score in 3D Mark to get into the lead. But what is important? So far, these four are qualified for the final tomorrow. Fastest, you can see, is the best overclocker from the qualifier. Of course, the top 4 from the qualifier today will go on for the final matches tomorrow: semi-final, final, and bronze final. Can't wait to see who will win the last golden tickets for the HWBOT World Championship. Let's switch back to BBOGs. His last run in game test 4. The butterfly is looking at the ranking, and if we look at the scoreboard, to improve his own score, even though he's already qualified, to improve his own score, he needs to do better than you need to do better than 37,511, so 37,000 points. Let's see that. 38,868 points. This is improving his score that he had just before. So this will bring him some extra points. Let's see if this will bring him some 38,000 points. He will actually be 4th in the 3D Mark 03 ranking, when he was actually, oh no, he'll be 3rd. It will stay 3rd. So he's improving a little bit his score, but not again any extra point. So we just have to wait that actually Massman give us the go to say that everything is final. But let's have a look around. For Massman is validating that everything is good. Hey, Bilzoid, what would be your summary? If you had to do a summary about what's going on, what was happening for the HWBOT World Series qualifier in Asia Pacific, what would be your summary for the past 3 hours?
Well, at the start we didn't really see many scores, you know, because not many people submitted. Everybody chose a similar strategy to basically do 3D Mark 03 11 first, and then move on to the BCLK maximum frequency. And then we basically had a rush for several who didn't manage to, you know, some people ran into some issues on 3D Mark and 3D Mark 11 with, you know, just not getting the scores that did. So towards the end, we ended up with those guys rushing to get out scores too, because they were having issues earlier on. So a lot of them didn't manage to get submissions everywhere, which I think always the thing for a competition is to just submit everywhere, because then you get points for at least submitting something instead of leaving it blank. Yeah,
the goal is always
for 3D Mark.
The goal is always to submit a score.
Yeah, always submit a score, because you'll get points. Especially in this format, you'll always get points for it. For 3D Mark 03, and actually for most of the benchmarks, we got leaders pretty early on. If I remember correctly, RevOC was first. He's only dropped down to 2nd from the start of the competition. Oh yeah, for stage 2, we see something similar. RevOC first, dropped down to 2nd. Hazan took over 1st place. 2, and stage 3, since everybody submitted really late one, Hazan actually took first stage 3, so he actually managed to get 2 of the submissions down. So I guess we're gonna see if he gets that. 2 submissions
down, but he managed to be 1st place in both, so that's quite impressive.
Yeah, he got 1st place in both. So if he, depending on what he puts for his 3D Mark 03, because he was having serious issues with 3D Mark 03 not running properly. Like his score was way below everybody else, and it looked like he was having issues with the GPU not clocking up properly, which can sometimes happen with the older benchmarks because the GPU will think, oh, it's like that it's the same level of load like running a YouTube video or something, and you'll end up with the GPU just not running at full speed and your score will be garbage. I was having issues with something similar. I'm not really sure about the specifics for integrated graphics. So we'll see for sure what happens once everybody's scores are in, because we did see some runs finish just as the competition ended, so those still need to get put in. But yeah, the first part of the competition was pretty relaxed. Some people got really high scores really quickly, and everybody else then sort of worked their way up and then sort of got into a more rushed, more heated up as we went to the end.
Let's discuss. So. Thank you, Bilzoid, for the summary. Let's discuss all this score with Massman. Hey, Massman, how are you doing?
All good. How are you?
All fine, all fine. So let's have a look at the final scoreboard. So can you confirm that this is the final scoreboard for the HWBOT World Series qualifier?
I can confirm that. Yes, this is the final.
So this is the final board. We have the top 4 of this leaderboard that will go on tomorrow for the HWBOT World Series semi-final and then final to win one last remaining ticket, golden ticket to the HWBOT World Championship at the end of the year. You were like taking care of the score update, etc. all along. What was your highlight for this qualifier?
My highlight was that there was that nothing went wrong, so that's very good.
Well, that's a good way of highlighting things.
At the very end, there was a bit of an issue with Hassan's score because his screenshot of the 3D Mark 03 wasn't valid, as it covered up a part of the score, and then we couldn't open his reference clock file either. So he had to go back really quickly, do another reference clock submission. So we got the screenshot and the validation file, and then everything went fine.
But still, you got the best submission in the reference clock stage.
Yeah.
That was quite impressive. So if we look at each of the stages, first stage was 3D Mark 03. Speed.fastest is the best overclocker in that one. We have speed.fastest 25 points, RevOC 18 points. Actually, these two are super close. There's just 300-point difference between them. We're like on the clocks, etc. Were they very close in terms of frequency they were running as well?
Yeah, I think they were both running over 1800 on the GPU. One of them actually ran 1850.
Well, that's a quite huge boost from what we have seen yesterday with the amateur, that they can barely go above 1400. Of course, the change of cooling solution might have helped here today. Then we have a third place B-Boy G's, then fourth place Coldest with 15 points. Of course, Oscar Route 22, great performance by an amateur from yesterday. I guess that is a master teacher. Lukinub is a good teacher for that, catching up quite fast. Once again, quite close in terms of scores, 300 points separating them from each other. Then moving on to Aki, 36,529 points. That gives him 13 points in the final scoreboard. So Peter, what was special here about these Indonesian people, especially on 3D Mark 03? Did you see something very specific that they have, the way they bench or the way they actually behave with the benchmark?
Well, I couldn't really see how they benched since I was trying to keep track of all the scores. I'd say in general I'm quite impressed by how the winner from AOCT got up the scoreboard quite high. Like he did very well for a first timer on LN2.
Okay. Seems you were a bit too loud.
Oh, sorry. That's because it's too close to my mouth.
So yeah, that was quite interesting to see, like this ex-amateur now turning into an extreme guy for this HWBOT World Series. Let's have a look at stage 2. Hassan smashed the ranking, 3,393 point in 3D Mark 11 performance, giving him 25 points. This is the second benchmark is submitted. Actually, the first one is submitted in chronological order, but that is one of the two benchmark is submitted. Managed to give first place, so 25 points for that. Then following up, Rev OC. 3,325 points, yielding 18 points for the scoreboard. Followed by Speed Fastest, 5 points, 195 points behind. Then we have B-Boy G's, then Rodi, giving them 15 and 14 points respectively. And then we have a huge drop with Coldest that is just above 3,000 points in this ranking. Last stage number 3, of course, reference clock. So why was that reference clock? Okay, I mean, the graphical benchmark, we can understand that because of the IGP that needs to be tested. But why did you guys choose, or the people that choose the benchmark, to have the reference clock inside this competition?
I think Christian picked it because reference clock is one of those things that no one has really been focusing on. So it was sort of a surprise stage, and people had to prepare up front. If you didn't come prepared, you would struggle quite a lot to get the high base clock frequency.
Well, and we can see that like Azan and B-Boy G's are almost head-to-head, 4 megahertz difference between them. Then we have about like 10 megahertz, 8 to 10 megahertz difference to go to Rev OC and Coldest as well in the same 440-ish kind of frequency. Then a drop again, 8 megahertz again for Speed Fastest, and then we have a huge drop of 30 megahertz to Eki. So that means these top 5 people, Azan, B-Boy G's, Rev OC, Coldest, and Speed Fastest, they basically figured out how to pass the 400 barrier and go further in the reference clock. Wow, that was quite a game. That was quite uneven, like quite a qualifier. So guys, thank you very much for tuning in. We will have some more live discussions going on. We have to take a short break to relax ourselves, take a short break and so on. Build Zoid, what will be your highlight if you have to take one specific part of this of today? What would be your highlight of this qualifier? Just one.
I'd say Oscaru actually doing so well for, you know, it being his first time on LN2. It's really impressive that somebody can, you know, pick this up basically in a day and not get be somewhat competitive. But that would be my highlight for this.
Awesome, thank you very much. My highlight on my side was something we didn't saw that much on the live, was the rice installation of Eki. It was using rice to insulate on the motherboard, something we were discussing and having fun yesterday about the different way you can do the insulation here in Indonesia. Guys, don't forget that every time you guys follow, I will give you a shout out on the stream. I would like to give a shout out to some of the people on the live chat, especially Shadow of Umbrian that is re-hosting this channel as well. Thank you very much. If you want to do the re-hosting on your channel, you can just type /host and OverClocking-TV to re-host on your own channel. Thank you very much for being here. We're gonna take a short break and come back right after. In the meantime, don't forget you can follow us on all the social media. Of course, you can find us on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, like pretty much all of them. We are here, OverClocking-TV in one word. You can find us there. We will find you back in the next few minutes after the break. Thank you very much.